Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, we just thank you for the many blessings we receive. Lord, we thank you for the ability to come here and do the county's business. Lord, we just thank you for life and health. And Lord, we just ask that you lead, guide, and direct everything that's done in this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So what do y'all have?
This is last meeting. Where y'all at?
Hey, Mayor.
Has anybody got any issues? Guess I'll sit up here with y'all.
Yeah.
Well, we need to look at the positions, position where the courthouse janitor is moving from, moving part-time to full-time. And there originally were
Hey, Mary.
2 part-times, and then it dropped to only 1 part-time, and that's really not enough to get the job done at the courthouse. So, you know, and there was no other addition to that, where there was some confusion. I think that was addressed the other day, that there was not half person added to it. What page is that you say?
Page 16, account number 51800.
We don't have 6.
We are.
Okay.
So it ended up being just,
And adding a half person is what it is.
right, it's making the one we got full-time.
Full-time, yeah, there was no extra half-time in there.
And the 15,000 was for,
That had to do with the, professional window cleaning, because we don't have anybody that can get up as high as these windows are, the floor maintenance and those things.
Contracted
Like
services.
Contracted services, yeah, because it was just, meetings when you weren't here, we had no way of knowing that more.
and we had moved all the communication to this.
Yes, that's why the
Budget.
40,000 was that was the movement of the communication.
Well, either we can discuss it or we can ask for a motion to accept it, or Rocky, you have anything?
We're talking about the county buildings fund.
Yeah.
In 2018, the county building fund returned $80,000 to the general fund at the end of the fiscal year. $82,000. And so the mayor's asking for an additional $80,000 in that fund. Ashley sent me the 2019 expenditures for the county building fund. Seems like there was quite a bit. I don't have it. It's on my telephone, and I didn't bring it in here. I don't have it by memory. It's seems like there were a large percentage of that money still remaining in that fund. So I asked I'm just going to ask the mayor if he would consider a look at the remaining expenditures, and if that could be reduced and using the funds that are being returned at the end of the year. Maybe I'm wrong about the 2019 dollars. I could walk out to my car and get it.
The expenditure report that you were sent, keep in mind, does not accurately reflect any outstanding purchase orders. So that's one reason why I've been pushing for 6 years now to get electronic purchase orders in the software system.
Mm-hmm.
So it will reflect what is encumbered, because it does not right now.
And your
because we're
point's-
still doing.
Your point's well taken. Let's say, what if $40,000 or $50,000 is being returned every year? Could the mayor not reconsider his dollar amount after knowing X amount of dollars? But I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I'm just having a conversation about
And
it.
he absolutely could, but there's also, I mean, you also wanna not be too conservative when you're doing projections, because, especially like in county buildings, because this takes care of all the maintenance. So if we need to be able to transfer for HVAC units going down,
Oh,
gas
okay.
leaks, or, last year it was the extension office, we had to dig up and redo the whole septic, you know.
Thank you.
And I know with the senior citizens building, it's gonna require a lot more work this year due to the age of it. And although we're trying to eventually get ourselves out of the county services building, which is up where EMA is now, everybody knows the condition of that building.
The old health
You've
department.
walked through it, and so this is just a little contingency to build in there to say, we have no idea what kind of year we're gonna have. You know, you could have a hot year, cold year, and that can affect your HVAC systems, things like that, so.
That's all good points.
Darryl, I'll make a motion that we, approve the county buildings budget as is, that includes extra halftime like a full-time janitor.
Your motion is just to accept it as is
In draft six.
on the draft.
Yeah, and draft six.
Say that again. What is as is?
As is, the
As is.
300,000,
All right.
861, or 300. Alright. Let's do a roll call vote, if you don't mind.
Sure, increase this, and so Daryl,
I'm gonna pass.
pass. Bill Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers. Yes. Rocky Preston.
I'll vote for it, yes.
I was gonna say, if you don't have enough, that's.
Sure, so you'll vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're pretty much done with that one, right?
Mhm.
The other personnel issue was the, CPO officer, and there's nobody here from the sheriff's department. I'd like to, if we do this, that person needs to be under the sheriff's office, because aren't they gonna be going for training as a deputy and being able to write tickets?
What, you talking about the
Yeah.
dog pound?
Yeah.
Animal shelter.
The one we got.
Or is that the budget you wanna do next?
Well, I just had note that.
I'd like to get,
we-
if nobody has any objections, if we're gonna do it like this one, I'd rather just pick another one and let's, talk
Okay.
about it, get it done.
That's not that since there's nobody here, I don't wanna, put
Are
something
you,
on it.
so you're saying the animal control officer?
Should be under
In
the
the sheriff's
sheriff's department, in the sheriff's.
I don't think so, cause then you're
I don't-
affecting maintenance of effort,
I don't-
although
yeah,
they
I
can
don't
be
agree.
deputized.
They could be put in one of the slots that he has open now.
Yeah, but see, he would be considered a deputy, not the dog pound ACO or whatever.
That
The
would increase
sheriff-
his budget,
But the
and
sheriff's
it would
department
increase
is
his
responsible.
budget.
The sheriff's department is responsible for that.
So you're saying you want the sheriff's department basically to hire the person with the funds that he currently has?
With the positions that he has now, cause he says he can't control the position, but
But
therefore.
what I'm getting at is you're gonna consider him a deputy, but yet, if he has a dog call, he's gonna have to either go to the dog call, or he's gonna have to go to a domestic.
Well, yeah.
You're using a deputy for two
You have-
things.
You have SRO officers that are under the sheriff's department, that would be the same type of situation.
But they do both,
Right.
like during
And there's
school hours,
summertime.
they're at the school,
That's true.
and after school hours, if they work, then they're
In the
doing.
summertime when school's out, so that wouldn't be a good
Yeah.
comparison. Okay, with that, we can drop that out, that's just, it was
You can make a motion or whatever you wanna do though, Phil.
Now, without the sheriff's department here I would don't wanna try to force something on the sheriff's department that he may or may not.
From talking to him in the past, I can tell you now, he ain't gonna be for it. He'd rather not deal with a dog pound right now. I'm not saying he won't in the future. So, what do y'all wanna move to?
What other things have you guys not gotten accomplished in the last two meetings?
The driving issue is.
Well, I
the
know
sheriff's
that, but
department.
we've got to accomplish something because we gotta get the ball rolling, so we've approved 51,800. What other,
Can we go
departments
through-
you guys wanna look at?
Can we go through like the, property assessors? and-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We can go
'Cause
through
we know
every
them.
single function if that's what you wanna do.
And
We know them doesn't vary. And
Sure, so.
Rocky, if you wanna talk about something, you just tell me.
Okay,
And,
I'll
what
listen
is
for a
this
while.
up here?
Which one are we gonna start with?
What about 51900 that's highlighted in other general administrations, page 17? Any questions there?
What does that fall under?
Well-
51?
Page 17.
Page 17.
Yeah, I mean, it was just still highlighted in draft 6, so I just didn't know if there was any kind of questions.
What number did you say?
51.
Right at the top of page 17.
Why is workers' comp going
It's
up?
just so little.
It's insurance, you can make sure it's in the air.
Communication, no, never mind.
Anything? No? Okay. What about property, assessor's office? I don't see anything
So,
highlighted, and I think
Do we
we
need
kind of
a
went through.
So
motion
we-
to approve as it is in here?
That's, sure, so,
Okay,
all right.
I'll make a motion to approve, 51,900 as in the draft 6.
Second.
All right, let's have a roll call vote. And if you don't wanna do it that way, Ashley, tell me.
That's fine, whatever you wanna do. Darryl Hicks,
Pass.
Bill Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers,
Yes.
Rocky Crescent.
Yes,
Okay, pass. All right, what about 52,300? Any questions about that? I think that's one of the first ones.
It's actually less than it was last year.
That was
Right,
the
a lot of
first
them
one.
have lessened due to just the retirement rate decreasing
Right,
too, which made a huge difference in our overall budget this year, thank goodness, but,
So is there
Mm.
any discussion about that?
I'll make a motion as is in draft 6.
I second
okay, Darryl Hicks, Bill Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
it. Yes.
Rocky Crescent.
yes.
Okay, we've got 52,310, the
Just,
reappraisal program, which is, what is that?
the other facilities, you know, for the county complex.
5180?
Page 16, 5180, real quick, sorry guys.
5118.
51,810.
See, I thought we skipped one.
Okay.
Well, that particular, I will probably finalize all these before July the 1st, but there's still gonna be some work still left for after inspections or whatever, you know, property maintenance, to cover, you know, for the year. So this one right here, I'm thinking could easily be taken down to probably 25,000. You could either put that in building improvements or building construction.
Take what down,
These, just so you take out the
Yeah,
100 and the
budget
150, you know,
really? Scratch it off,
yes.
okay,
So the
and you're
overall
talking about
budget-
moving the building construction?
Where it says 75,000 for the building construction, see, that probably could be more like 25,000, just.
We have another option, can I mention it? Page 32. Reserved from the hospital sales, the hospital fund. $325,000 has been taken from the $3 million hospital fund. That shows up on page 16, what the mayor's talking about, other facilities. It's Steve Bates and the mayor's intent to borrow that money from a bank and pay the hospital fund back. I've asked Steve Bates to do it, he hadn't done it yet, he don't wanna do it. He can also show in revenues being received, $325,000, even though we ain't borrowed no money from a bank yet. He can estimate that we're gonna borrow $325,000 and put it in revenues received, which would shrink our $622,000 underfunded general fund balance. It would shrink it $325,000. Why he don't wanna do that, I don't know. CTASC has explained to me that's very, very appropriate.
Did he
It's
say-
all it is an estimate. It's an estimate that you're gonna borrow money from the bank, just like property taxes and local option taxes are estimates.
Are you planning to Brett, are you planning to make these purchases with the rest of this money in this fiscal year? Therefore, we don't need that money in this budget, so we're reducing that money down to $25,000, but you're actually removing that money from the budget, Rocky. You're not gonna have it in the budget.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we could add that,
We would take it down 300,000.
300,000
and
back
not
to the hospital
325.
Don't you, I mean, leave leave 25,000 in, are you not gonna leave it in that, are you gonna leave it in this line, in this code, 51,810, or are you gonna move it somewhere else?
I don't believe, you know, what Rocky's talking about is really a short-term finance for it.
Yeah.
To do that requires a lot more timing to prepare and get ready. So it's gonna keep pushing us in to later in this current budget year. And that's one, part of my proposal was to get it out of this budget year, you know, like to get it done and help them out with closing. And we can always short-term finance, but then again, we've got the money, we've got the cash, and we're gonna reimburse ourselves in the end. We're gonna replenish all the hospital fund with it. We could do the short-term finance. I would prefer to at least buy the properties, have them like what you call, a bird in the hand, and have it just have that off the table.
Yes, and the short-term finance I didn't mention, I just mentioned showing that it's an estimate, that we're gonna borrow money, ever how we borrow it. Now, that's just one option of two. I'm not saying your idea is a bad idea, removing it from the budget.
well, if you remove it like you was talking about a while ago, say the 300,000, could we just put it straight back into the?
Yes.
General fund.
Yeah.
General fund?
Yeah.
Well, would it go back in the general fund or back to the hospital?
Well, actually, it's gonna be taken from the general fund, and it comes from hospital, it just goes into basically
Carol,
capital assets.
Let me help you, Mayor. Page 16, the $325,000 you're looking at is part of that $622,000 underfund. The hospital will be paid back, that'll disappear, and the underfund will shrink to about $300,000.
Right, I'm all for taking it off, cause then that'll help our final.
Well, this number won't change. Page 32,
So it just goes back in the general fund.
if we're pulling it from that fund anyway, that one will reflect it, but page 16, I'm gonna purchase it with the cash that we've got in hand, you know.
Well, if you're gonna do that, don't you have to keep the, account on page 16 in the budget?
No, because page 16, it'll be wiped out. I mean, you know, it would go under your
Minus the-
2019 audited numbers.
25,000 that you want in there,
Yeah,
right?
25,000 would still remain
Okay.
up here.
So it'll go back in the general fund.
You're wanting to leave
I
it
But if
in?
you
I just
wanna
wanna-
change an estimate or projection of a revenue, you can make a motion to do that.
I realize that, I haven't done that yet.
I know, I've heard a lot of people talk about, you know, that, but you're not putting it into a motion. Do you wanna put it into a motion and have that change reflected?
Not yet.
Okay.
When,
We'll show it, your audited numbers under 2019 will show numbers.
Hold
Are you
up
wanting
on
to
it.
leave
Because he's got a new, I'm listening to what he's
Yeah,
talking about
I
now.
factored in
He's
that
talking
we
about
would
something
do
I haven't
some-
heard yet.
Basically, after purchase, you know, we'll have to put some locks on the doors and things of that nature, so there's gonna still be some expenses too.
Okay,
And I built that into the original request.
I'll make a motion
To decrease.
that we, decrease line item 706 to $25,000. Remove line item 715 and line item 732, which will leave $25,000 in other facilities. I'll make a motion that we make those changes.
Do I get a second?
You see, that's what that just shifts under 2019.
All right, you got a second.
Okay.
Call the roll.
Question, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mayor,
Discussion.
sometimes my comprehension is my weakest tool. Did I understand you to say that would not change the excess of revenue and other sources? Or did I misunderstand?
Is that the page 32?
That's
Where
page
the
30.
hospital fund, like the hospital fund will still reflect, I guess what, all but 25,000.
because the purchase was being made this year.
With this,
Right.
with what Phil just motioned for, that will reduce the excess, the under expenditure amount by $300,000 unless somebody can show me where I'm wrong.
That's what I was getting at, is it
Yeah,
gonna
it-
show, now it's 600, it should be
300.
at 300,
That amount is
whatever.
there.
Subtract
roughly.
300.
Okay,
Right.
we're clear on that, that's all, I just wanted
That's what I was
clarification.
trying to
We're
make.
taking it out of next year's budget and doing it out of this year's budget.
Make
Okay.
Okay. Daryl Hicks,
Yes.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers. Yes. Rocky Preston.
I forgot what we're voting on. Yes.
To
Reduce it.
pass. Okay, passes. Okay, so we did that, we did,
Now we're at 52,310.
yeah,
So the bottom line
Page
on
17.
551810 is what? 25.
Mm-hmm. 52,310 reappraisal program,
It is up, but it's up because of postage,
because the
of real
reappraisal.
price.
Reappraisal.
That's and that's not really optional. What he went with is actually the cheapest way he could go by having the state do all of it.
Well, the decrease in his budget kind of
Yeah,
makes
his
up for that
budget was
increase
decreased.
there.
His budget does increase.
Does anybody wanna make a motion to accept as is?
What number are we on?
Which one?
52,310, bottom of
Page
17.
17.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Have any discussion on that?
Okay, Daryl Hicks,
Passed.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Page 18, 52,400. County trustee.
And it is $2,000 roughly
Decreasing.
increasing from last year. Can I get a motion to accept as is?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have none.
Roll call.
None.
No.
Daryl Hicks,
Pass.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Okay. 52,500, County Clerk.
And it is, it's $500. Wait a minute, it continues on. My
It-
apologies.
Yeah. Hers increase.
Hers increased because
Office
of the,
equipment.
because of the card readers that they're having to
That's right.
reinstall the new ones in from the state. And I believe that's the exact amount of her increase was that.
Yeah.
And that's required, not an option.
Can I get a motion to accept as is?
Motion. Second.
Pick.
Okay.
Any discussion on that? Alright, roll call please.
Daryl Hicks,
Pass.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yeah, yes.
If y'all have discussion, don't wait on me to ask, let's just talk about it. Alright.
No, we're going
Okay.
each budget. Mm-hmm.
Well, that way they're
53,100 circuit court clerk.
Didn't hear you say her budget.
Can I get a motion to accept as is?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call please.
Okay, Daryl Hicks,
Pass.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. 53,310 General Sessions Judge.
It's up $1,000, a little more.
I believe that was, did I have a step increase?
Jennifer does, which she had it this year, so we ended up doing a resolution to appropriate for that because it was left out. And we made sure to reflect it in this budget, so.
Can I get a motion to accept as is?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, you be ready.
Daryl Hicks,
Pass.
Bill Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Crescent.
Yes.
Pass.
And drug courts don't exist.
Not in our general fund, that does not.
Cause it was one of them that was blank.
Yeah, that is its own separate fund, so it will always be blank here. You'll only see 122 for drug court.
Alright, that moves us to 53,400.
Chancery.
Okay.
A motion to accept as is.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? It's actually a little less, $1,000 less, really. Roll call, please.
Gerald Hicks,
Pass.
Bill Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Crescent.
Yes.
Okay, passes.
And that moves us to 53,500 juvenile court. It's actually 2,000 roughly less than last year. They'll get a motion to accept as is.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Gerald Hicks,
Pass.
Bill Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Crescent.
Yes.
Okay, passes.
I would suggest we save jail and sheriff for last.
Yes. Now we have, what, 53,700, Ashley, why is it blank?
We don't
Again?
have judicial commissioners, yeah. Okay, so if we're gonna skip the sheriff,
And,
54,150, we're gonna skip.
We're gonna skip the jail for now.
Okay,
Juvenile services,
where?
54,240, is that, or is that
We're
juvenile
gonna go.
court? I'm on page 24.
Well, we need to actually do,
Drug enforcement.
50, I'm so sorry, Brett, 54,160, top of 23. Admin of sexual offender registry, I mean, we still need to approve it though, because
Motion as is.
Second.
54,160, is that what that is? Yeah, 160, sex offender registry.
What page?
Top of page 23, it's only $2,500, they budget their reserves for that. Okay, so motion by Bill Melton, second by Mary Powers.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Okay, Darryl Hicks, Bill Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Crescent.
Yes.
Okay, passes. We'll skip to jail, which brings us to, fire prevention and control, that's part of our nonprofits.
What about
Yeah,
54,240?
54.
I'm sorry, is that at the top? Okay, 54,240 juvenile.
It's actually considerably less than last budget,
I
so.
had a clerical person that they don't have anymore than some other things.
Can I get a motion to accept as is?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Call, please.
Darryl Hicks,
Pass.
Bill Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers,
Yes.
Rocky Crescent.
Yes.
Okay,
Now, on the fire prevention control, well, no.
that's part of our nonprofit, so we can skip 54,310, 54,320, and 54,420. And we can always take a look at those again later.
Yeah, what we did in a previous budget meeting, we just kind of made them exactly the same as it was
Yeah.
last year.
Okay.
So, I mean, if nobody has any objections, we could mark them all, just approve them all at one time.
Haven't you guys already done that though? If you
Yeah.
reflected it back, then there's no need to
Yeah,
address
that's
it
what I'm
again.
asking, I'm asking.
Yep, so let's go on to 54,490, other emergency management,
What page?
that's page 24.
24.
I make a motion to accept that,
Okay.
Second.
it starts on page 24, total
Oh,
budget is
that's
reflected on
right.
25. So we have a motion to accept by Mary Powers and second by Phil Melton.
Any discussion on that? Who was over this?
Richard Key.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay, roll call.
Daryl Hicks,
Pass.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers,
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Inspection and regulation.
That's the OSHA fees. That's for the new safety officer, because Gary Evans used to be, he's no longer here. We need a safety officer. We had to do a resolution, last month before, for that. So this reflects,
Who's our safety officer?
Motion.
Who is it?
Greg Piper.
That's right.
He's just kind of been, we kind of piggyback stuff on employees instead of hiring new people,
Right.
so it's kind of piggybacked on them.
Second.
Can I get
Okay.
a motion to accept as is?
Motion.
Phil Melton, second Mary Powers.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Daryl Hicks,
Pass.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers,
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Passes.
That moves to 54,610. And it's the same exact as it was
Motion as is.
last
Second.
year. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Daryl Hicks,
Pass.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers,
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Okay.
54,900. Nope, I'm sorry.
Local home.
60.
Yeah, we did that.
55,110. $47. It's up just a few dollars, not,
That's mostly social security.
yeah, not.
Motion as is.
Can I get a second? Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Daryl Hicks, Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Passes.
$55,120, rabies and animal control. It's just a little bit less this than it was last year.
Is
Can I-
this, where's that?
This is where the animal control
Where's the number?
would come in, wouldn't it?
This was where the mayor was hoping, for a full-time ACO, but I don't see it in here.
Is this attached to the animal shelter?
I think it is the animal shelter.
Yeah, this is, 54,120 is the animal shelter's budget.
Well, now we're looking at 55,120, are we?
No, we've already
Did I not
scratched
say
one.
that, 55,120?
Okay, that's what
I
we're.
thought I just said that, 55,120.
54.
I'm sorry, 55,120 is the
Okay.
animal shelter.
Okay.
Since that had a personnel issue, would it be better to come back to that?
We can, or we can just,
Position,
Yeah.
or
we can
let's
discuss
just
it, or
discuss it.
get it done, one way or the other. If you wanna add a full-time, it would be an ACO, correct?
Yes, because they have a part-time.
We'd have to make a motion and add it to the budget.
Can I add something?
Yes, sir.
Ashley give me the expenditures from that account May the 14th. They have $66,000 available. They've used 61.24% of their funds. And I realize I know that part of that's gonna be used. There's still a month and a half of this fiscal year, but it's something that needs to be talked about, I think.
And also, just to point out, the majority of those funds that are left available are in the Pam Camillic estate funds that were given to the shelter.
And I didn't realize that.
That's where that.
Yeah, that's why it shows a higher number
Do you
than
know
what
roughly
we've
how much
actually
that is?
funded.
Okay.
Can they spend it?
Not a hard number, just an amount.
The estate, they actually can. This estate, they can. You know, the other Gladys Datura one is in a sub-fund. It can't be, we're regulated as to what it could be used for. There's restrictions, but the Pam Camillic, she did not leave any kind of restrictions. So it can be,
You're looking at.
But we hate to spend it
yeah.
for day-to-day business.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if they could do something
That-
like,
that's
they
why I
were looking
asked
at the
about how
cat
much it
room
was.
expansion and ventilation, you know, stuff like that, if they could use that estate that's left to them for those kind of capital improvements, that's what they would prefer.
Is somewhere, does it break it down, what the amount of what that is?
It is, we have it budgeted in,
Just as long as
if
it's
we had that
somewhere.
report, it would show you, Barnett actually, when we received that money budgeted into an expenditure account, we put it in their motor vehicles. Because at that time, we were going to look into purchasing a new animal control truck. But then when Brett came on and Greg Pfeiffer got his new maintenance vehicle, they took over the little Ranger that we had, so kinda,
And I don't know if I'm really ready to make that a full-time position yet, only because, I wanna see how this new guy works out, of course, you know, I mean, they may not work out. And if we're gonna make it a full-time position, it's gonna require training, it's gonna require a little bit of extra, maybe some line items, so I think maybe the way to go is to ease into that, and maybe we should just up the part-time line. And instead of doing them 20 hours a week, maybe we just go a little bit up on this, on,
Like 32.
how much can we go before we're
30.
required to make them a full-time? Do you know those payroll rules? Is it
32
hours?
32.5 hours.
So what if we just up part-time? Because we can change midstream, if we've got some funding and we needed to move them on to full-time, can we do that? You know, I don't wanna start the year out until he's proven himself a little bit and gone, and
Well-
then move him to that full-time line,
Well,
so
can I-
if we were gonna,
Can I ask a question that may?
He's in the crowd and he wants to say something.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if you want to do it part-time or do that 30 hour and then use that extra funds to send me to schools, I'm all for that. So, I mean, I can sustain myself somewhat on the part-time, so.
I think it just gives us some flexibility of, you know, it's something that you wanna do, and that you're committed to, and, but if we can give you more hours, of course, that allows us to evaluate some things as well, so.
Absolutely. So, the schooling is a big aspect of it. I'd like to get the proper education and stuff, and I called around Montgomery County and talked to what their training programs that they send for all their ACOs and stuff, and trying to get pricing again there so I can sit down with you later on this week. Maybe present it to the committee, or I can present it to some other point in time.
We don't have to vote on it now, but there's something for y'all to ponder a little bit, because if we go full-time, there's the Medicare FICA, there's those additional.
We also need to know what upping the 32 hours is gonna cost.
Right, that's what I
In
was
order to put it in
thinking.
here, we have to have that figure. So it would, I guess it'd be better, I don't know.
But it gives us some flexibility at least of,
So,
we go one round.
make a motion to leave it as is for now?
Well, I'd like somebody to make a motion to, let's table it till next meeting, and maybe the mayor or whoever does
Postpone it,
that.
yeah.
It's probably Ashley. Give us a correct total on to move it up to 32 hours.
Okay.
I
Anybody
make a
wanna
motion that
make
we
a motion?
table it, or postpone it until next.
All right, you want to just do a voice vote on that? We're not voting on it.
Mhm.
All in favor say aye. All opposed?
Okay. Well,
55,
yeah.
130?
Mhm.
Ooh, it's blank.
No, it's not. It carries over to the next page. That's your ambulance, which is gonna stay the same because we're on a contract, so.
Motion.
Second.
And that was a motion for, to accept.
55, 130, yeah,
Yeah.
because we're on, I think, 5-year contract.
Any discussion on that? How many more years do we like? Does anybody know?
Which account are we on?
3 or 4?
55, 130.
Well, I think Barry just worked that contract this past year, so I think it was a 5-year contract.
Okay, I'm talking after this.
So we got 4 more years roughly.
And if Decatur County would join in with us, we could
It'd be
save
less.
$100,000, but right now, they just don't wanna change the system they've got, but. But it's open to renegotiation at any time, so if Decatur County were to change their mind, we can actually change
Both of them on a
Excuse me.
monthly basis.
All right, can I get a motion to accept as is?
We've got a
Oh.
motion in a second, I just need a, you can do the voice vote.
A voice vote?
Sure.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Can I make a motion that we combine the next 1, 2, 3, 4? There's no change in the budget.
Sure. Motion to combine 55,170 through 55,310, or you wanna go down to
Yeah,
55,390?
55,390.
55,390.
Second.
All in favor of combining?
Aye.
All opposed? We're gonna vote on them as combined.
Motion as combined.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay. 55,710.
Sanitation management.
Do some discussion on this, y'all, you know, we're bumping that up, is it 2,000 or 2,500 this month?
2,500, I think.
Should
By
we
resolution.
anticipate that into the next budget? Every year, it seems like we have to add
We do.
to this at the end of the year. The state gives us 12,000. But unfortunately, like as we talked about the other day, is that, it always runs high because people simply dump off more tires in Benton County than they purchased.
If we did add it, what would we need to add it to?
I'm thinking-
I make a motion to add under
Maybe
399,
399 to
add
increase.
2,000, make it 14,000, instead of 12,000.
Okay, I need a motion to add
Not
that.
motion, sorry.
A second.
399 to, you said
To
to 14,000? Okay.
Conversation.
Yes.
55,720 account sanitation. The audited amount for 2017 was $28,620. The audited amount for 2018 was $18,783. I'm looking at, as of May the 14th, there was $31,000 available in that fund. They've used 24.16% of that account.
This is
That's
the
for
litter.
the litter grant.
That's the
That
litter
is
grant.
litter.
We're talking about 55,720 account.
Yeah,
5710 right
55,710.
now.
No, we're talking about
That's
17.
reflected on page
So we're going back to,
27.
okay.
Two
well,
different
seven-
The
things.
tire one,
Okay.
the tire.
Page
I'm sorry.
27 at the bottom, that's your total for your waste tire.
That's, okay, point well taken.
And we get, what motion we got on the table, Rocky, is to move it from the 12 to the 14.
I see where I made a mistake.
I'm gonna ask a question. What in, 2019, it jumped from 78 to 24,000?
Where are you
I believe
looking
you're on
at?
the wrong, I believe you're on the wrong, you're at the bottom of 27.
You're on the one before that one.
We're on.
Oh, did I jump ahead too far?
You and Rocky both did. Y'all both getting into that litter grant,
Down the bottom.
Oh.
tire disposal.
So that's not line number 399.
399, we have a
Okay.
motion in a second to increase 399 from 12,000 to 14,000.
So we have a motion and a second. We'll do a voice vote, or you wanna do a roll call, cause it's adding money to it?
Sure. Darryl Hicks,
Pass.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes,
Okay, now do we need a motion to accept it, or would that be?
With the change.
Yeah,
Sure.
with the
Motion,
change.
motion to accept with change.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say, or any discussion, I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
All opposed, passes.
What does it put the bottom line? And
25,233. We just added $2,000 to it. All right, now that moves us to 55,720 sanitation.
The litter grant, it actually went down a little bit.
You wanna get a motion to accept as is?
Motion.
Second?
Conversation.
You wanna get a second first,
I
or?
thought you seconded it.
No, I was asking for a second.
I'll second it. I'm looking at the 2017 audit year of $28,620. I'm looking at the 2018 audit year of $18,783. Steve Bates' estimate for 19 was $41,000. We don't know how close that is. His budget for this year is $41,247. That account. That account has $31,000 available in it as of May the 14th.
This is a grant. This is a grant that is given to us from the state of Tennessee, from TDOT,
Is
that
that-
we have to apply for. And in 2017, those funds that you see budgeted there
Mhm.
is what we received in a grant, and that was spent. 2018, I'm sure that the grant was actually more than that, but for some reason, that was the year that the sheriff's department took that grant over. So they were doing less with it that year. So that's the audited figure and why it decreased. 2019, that projection and estimation is given to us each year when we're doing our budget by that grant amount. So that's why you see it fluctuate.
Okay.
It's whatever the state gives us in that grant each year.
If there's excess funds left that the sheriff doesn't expense a lot of that, how does the excess funds work for that? When you say they give us this much grant, and you said there's 31,000 still left?
May
It's a
the 14th
reimbursable
is.
grant, so what you're supposed to do, they tell you how much you get, how much you are required and mandated to spend on education. And then, that's pretty much their main concern is education with the litter grant. After that, they don't care if you pay litter guards to clean up or trash bags, supplies, whatever. You decide what you wanna do with it, but they mandate how much of that grant is going to be, spent on education. So each month, you have to do monthly invoices, and you're supposed to submit those invoices to the state, along with your work. Like each year when you apply, you have to break down a work plan, what you plan on doing with the grant funds each year for both public education, your litter cleanups, things like that. So each month you submit your invoices showing anything that you've done using those funds, along with the cleared checks that you paid for. And then they will reimburse you on a monthly basis.
So they really need to spend it.
What
They have to
happens-
spend it to get it. So if you don't spend it all, then you're not getting that full grant amount. So like the last couple of years that I had the grant, we were receiving around 42,000, I think, but you have to spend it to get that full amount. So if you spend 18,000, you spend 28,000, that's all you get.
Thanks, Ashley, you talked me into it.
If it's money the county don't have to spend, I'm all
Yeah, in a
for
way,
it.
it's not our money, I mean, it's
Mhm.
free money.
Okay, all in favor of accepting it as is?
Yes.
Uh, 55,900, other public health and welfare, health department grant.
Make a motion.
Second.
It's actually lower.
Mhm.
It's because of
49 and
tobacco.
44.
It is because, normally they also get a tobacco grant that they've received, I think, for the last 3 or 5 years, but that grant's over with, so they're not gonna get that money anymore.
Get a motion to accept.
I've got a motion in a second.
Sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
And that moves us to 56,300 Senior Citizens Assistance. Is this a nonprofit?
No, this is your senior citizen center.
Okay. It's a little less than it was last year. Can I get a motion to accept as is?
motion.
Second.
All in, or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Passes.
I only heard one eye.
I nodded my head.
I only heard one eye.
All opposed?
There you go. 56,500.
library. Can I get a motion? Wait, before we get a motion, I'd like to discuss this one. And we might have in the past, I don't remember, did we talk about reducing that back to what we had?
709,
We actually did,
8,500.
yes, we moved that back to within 48 or so dollars of the 2019 at the last meeting.
Mhm.
Is it
Okay, so
reflected
it's
here?
not reflected here in
Right,
this
that's
six.
what I was asking.
Cause you
Yeah.
guys were still working on the same
277.
draft. Okay, so tell me again, 709 line item needs to reflect,
I got
Reduce it
277,
1,500.
833.
We reduced it 1,500 to 8,500. On line item 709,
from 10,000
down to
to
8,500.
8,500.
And that should leave it slightly above.
So the total budget for the library that you guys had approved,
What was the other line that changed? 1,500 Phil, you said something.
It was line item 709, went from 10,000.
oh, we just went down
Is that the
1,500
only
always,
line?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
okay.
Should have taken it to 277, 833.
That's right, okay.
Is that what you?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, can I get a motion to accept as adjusted?
Motion.
At 277, 833.
Right.
Yes.
Second, motion by Phil Martin.
Second.
All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes.
Okay.
56,700 Parks and Fair Boards,
Motion as is.
second. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Uh, 56,900 other social, cultural and recreational.
At the last meeting, we removed the 6,500 from other charges. That was the item that came up, the question as to whether, the restricted funds of the library, would we have moved that out of the library? Actually,
That's archives.
because that was the question, but they had expended all of the
They
money.
did, they just
Okay.
did, so I mean, we'll have they will
Well,
have money in there by the end of this year because we collect that fee each month, but they,
I made the motion to take it out. I would, since that was, building improvements and furniture, could we not put that in capital projects 171?
this budget and this funds, no, because that is a reserve that comes from the fee, the archive fee that's collected through the courts monthly. So, in order for me to track reserves, I need to keep it separate. Why would you want, and that reserve is within the general fund, it's not within Fund 171.
Okay, but the reason we moved it out was maintenance of effort. But would it be better to put it back here in this line item, 56,900? But if it's in their budget, won't it increase their maintenance of effort?
Okay, it will, and that's why we don't put it in the library budget, we keep it in 56,900, that's not the library
Well, it was
budget.
originally in the library budget and we moved it over here, and that was the question Steve had about the reserve money.
56,900, we've had archives over there for years, so I don't know what
Well,
I'm confused.
back in a meeting that I don't think you were here, that 5,500 was in, I think it was 4,000 for one thing, 1,500 for another.
The 599,
Yeah, and we
Okay,
moved
so
it
this isn't all archive fees, you guys took money from the
Yeah,
library
we-
budget and put
yeah.
it here, gotcha,
To-
okay.
To re-
not have to reduce
So
the
we wouldn't
maintenance
show
of
them our
effort.
maintenance of that.
Gotcha.
Then, at the last meeting, I made the we're trying to find a place to, I made the motion to remove that, and that motion passed. I would like to make a motion that we replace that 6,500 back into this line item in 56,900.
Now, is that going to the, okay.
What are we,
Right.
No.
Why do you wanna put it back in?
what are we gonna use it for?
This is what they had, the building improvement and the furniture.
So you wanna give it back to the
I'm
library?
gonna give it back to the library, but
But in the
under this line
archive.
item, yes.
Cause they are going to some additional equipment later.
So we're gonna have to move it back to the library.
Well, we
No, he's wanting to put it back in this 56,900 though.
Cause I made a motion at the last meeting and it was approved to remove it, okay? But I think that was a mistake, and I wanna make a motion that we put this $6,500 back into line item 599 to restore it as it was before.
And that would make it 8,000, what,
59,000.
Actually, it would make it the bottom figure it is now, because it's not reflected. Remember, it's 9,700 would be correct,
So total budget, tell me again what you want it to be.
97.
9,775, okay.
Let's do a roll call vote on this one.
Daryl Hicks,
Pass.
Bill Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Crescent.
Yes.
Passes.
So we need to have a motion to accept as is, so that is satisfied.
So, I think it's fine. Okay.
All right, 57,100 agricultural extension service. It's actually down from last year. Can I get a motion to accept as is?
Motion.
Can I get a second? I'll second.
Their communication also was moved under so I knew it shouldn't be down because we had to pick up some additional money, but their communication moved over to that 40,000.
Probably.
Okay.
I'll second that.
I got you.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I got you.
All in favor, or any discussion, sorry. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Pass. 57,500 soil conservation.
This was part of the nonprofit
I thought,
contribution.
Did you guys choose?
This is a new
I thought-
account.
yeah, this is a new nonprofit, but I thought,
Did you guys change that, and when you said you went back to last year's, that would have not added that $10,000?
right, but I thought we had voted to, their total was 10,000 that they asked for, correct?
No, 10,000 is what we gave, what we voted to give them. They actually were asking for more than
20?
that.
They were.
Because I think we cut it in
They were
half.
asking,
Yeah, we
if I
did.
remember.
they were asking for
For
another
20.
employee.
Before we make a motion to accept it, is there any discussion on cutting it further, adding to, or leaving it alone?
I thought you,
We didn't give them any,
What,
did they not ask for anything last year?
no,
No, this is a new one.
This is-
This is a
I
new one.
knew.
yeah, this is your
This is
local
actually-
USDA office.
actually one that we
Okay.
used to have, and it got cut from the budget. And then
And-
it come and asked for some money to.
But they was gonna try to put another person in
Here
the
in Benton
Camden
County,
office
yeah.
to, cause there's nobody there, but like one day a
That's
week.
right, yeah.
Um,
So if our farmers need to use equipment or borrow rent or something, they have to go
It
to
takes
Paris,
2
or they
weeks.
have to wait for the day that they're here.
You gotta call him at the Huntington office and
Yeah.
try to talk him into coming down here and unlocking the thing.
for you to get something.
So, Rocky, you have any?
No, y'all know a lot more about this account than I do.
It's a new account. I'm gonna say what they do, it really benefits Benton County a lot. Cause I used to think,
If you do any type of farming, it's beneficial to you.
Well, it's similar to the Veteran Service Office, you know, they're there to take breathing farmers, you never know when they're gonna have, like the flooding that we had, they're gonna come and file USDA claims, you know, for federal, disaster assistance, crop damage or whatever, so I remember the USDA always being here, you know, on a more full-time basis, so I guess what happened is we probably cut it years back, and this is a way of getting it back into the community at the recommendation of probably UT Extension probably has recommended it.
I'll make a motion.
Accept it, okay.
So,
Okay.
any discussion? I'm all for giving them another 5, but it's just me. I
Do
mean,
you wanna put it into a motion?
well, I'd like everybody else's opinion first.
You wanna take that 5 away from another nonprofit?
No,
we,
not yet, no.
Okay.
we
so-
did basically, if I remember right, when we did this, we pretty much reduced.
I think it's like an age 87.
Yeah, we cut them
all.
Age 87.
Cut them all
So
back.
if
So
we
they
add
No, it's
here-
page
moved
8.
several
Page 8.
Right.
new ones.
I was doing like an arrow.
There is one that I'd like to look at, but I ain't got to that yet, so
Okay.
right now, I don't wanna take any from any others.
Okay.
I just would like everybody's opinion
Okay.
on adding 5 to it.
I can save us 5 here in a minute, but we'll get to it. If you feel like that office needs to be funded,
I do.
I've got a recommendation I was gonna hold off and make, but,
If we can find.
I can get you 5 if you want that from another.
There's other here
line.
that I wanna cut from, but I wanna wait till we get to it to say yes or no.
And give me a little time to lobby USDA, and our congressman, maybe we can get some additional funds down here too.
Is this, I mean, I know a lot of farmers that's come to me and said, you know, why ain't we got the USDA office open? You know, we'd like to do business with them, cause they do charge for the planter, maintenance and upkeep, so they make a little money.
Sure.
That was my thing, I mean, our farmers is what makes our county. So I don't know how to make a motion, cause we already got a motion on the floor.
I made the motion.
Mary Powers.
I withdraw my motion.
Yeah, to increase it 5,000. All right, I make a motion, Ashley, to increase it 5,000. It will make a total of 15,000.
Second?
Second.
All in, let's do a roll call.
Okay. Gerald Hicks?
I will vote yes on this one.
Okay. Bill Melton?
Yes.
Mary Powers?
Yes.
Rocky Preston?
Yes.
Passes. Okay.
So we can fund it.
All right, that one passes. All right, 58-110 tourism. It's the same exact from last year. The one below it's the same. The airport's different.
I make a motion to combine those 2.
Tourism and the industrial board? 58-110 and 58-120?
Second.
All in favor to combine?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Discussion.
Oh, discussion, I'm sorry.
One of the recommendations that I was gonna make, cause this has Chamber of Commerce, but we give all the money to the Benton County Camden Chamber of Commerce. And I know we've got a Big Sandy Chamber of Commerce as well. And they've got, you know, anyone who attended the annual membership, their membership has grown more this year than it ever has, so the Chamber of Commerce is finally on its feet and doing much better. And I believe, you know, especially when it comes to industrial development, most of that's done from the mayor's office and not the Chamber of Commerce. I actually was going to recommend that we reduce the Chamber of Commerce $8,000 and put $3,000 towards the Big Sandy Chamber of Commerce, because again, with the Spring Festival, things that Big Sandy does a lot for tourism as well, but I don't want to put one chamber of commerce over the other. You know, we're helping one but not the other. But there's that other $5,000 for the USDA office.
Well, could,
I'm not in favor of reducing the Chamber of Commerce. You know, when we fund them, we talked about that where they asked for more money, and we decided not to give them any more money, but to keep them at the funding that they have. If we need to cut somewhere, we can find like somewhere else that we can cut other than the Chamber of Commerce. That is vital to our tourism and vital to our sales tax dollars and vital to this community. I'm not in favor of cutting them. I'm in favor of keeping the 5,000 if we can find another place.
whoever made the motion to combine them, would they wanna take it back to where we can talk about them
I
individually?
withdraw that motion.
Hey, Mark,
That
you
way-
gonna get bored, you gonna make us some
Why
coffee?
did we give them six more thousand?
We didn't.
It went from
They-
2018 to 2019.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, I mean,
And they're operating better than they ever have on their own
Right.
membership, and the
Right.
Chamber of Commerce was never supposed to be subsidized by the county. And, you know, from my particular seat, I think we need to see more out of the Chamber of Commerce. But there is a Big Sandy Chamber of Commerce, and there's an opportunity that at least, again, you know, they're gonna promote tourism just as much. And, part of what we try to do is to wean these organizations off over time. And again, you know, if you attended their annual banquet, they said that they've grown the membership more than they ever have. I mean, it's time, I would be more so for moving money from there and giving it to the Camden Main Street Downtown Association. You know, I mean, that, you know, they have a Christmas festival every year. I mean, we don't wanna give it to Big Sandy Chamber of Commerce, give it to the Camden Merchants,
Nobody-
you know.
No,
I didn't
he's
say
the
not
one
to
that
give money
said-
to Big Sandy.
But that's what I was saying, is I believe there's an opportunity to reduce this Chamber of Commerce and disperse that same $6,000 or $8,000, into other venues that's gonna have just as big an impact on overall
You're reducing
tourism.
their budget by 20%.
It's time they learn to swim a little bit on their own. I mean, that's just.
Give them some notice that we're gonna do that next year maybe, but take 20% out of their budget right now is a pretty significant lift.
$8,000.
I would like to give the Big Sandy Chamber some money because the Spring Festival coming up, Memorial Weekend,
they've started,
that brings a lot of
Side by
people
side parade.
outside.
the first side-by-side parade brought 75 side-by-sides down there.
Mhm.
It's been all day in Big Sandy, you know, eating and drinking and.
I'm just looking at
So
the
I
overall,
think-
I'm just throwing it out for discussion.
I'm not opposed to giving Big Sandy Chamber of Commerce money, that's not it, I'm just not in favor of reducing by 20% to Camden Chamber of Commerce with no notice.
Well, does anybody else wanna make a motion to reduce the
Look
Chamber
at
of
it.
Commerce?
Wait just a minute, I wanna
I
finish.
just look at it more of a contribution, more so than it is a support. I mean, I want to be very careful not to get into supporting, to the point where, we end up having a shadow agency of government. If that's gonna be the case, then, I wanna call their shots, you know. If Benton County's gonna be their main funder, Benton County ought to be the one
Tell them
kinda
what to
directing
do.
on what to do, and we don't do that, and so, again, it's,
And I'm all for the people that do the parades.
I still see the overall effect is how is it gonna affect tourism, and that's why I say if it's redispersed a little bit, I think there's a net effect, but again, the number, you know, Phil, is really just, it's negotiable, I mean, whatever you suggest. I just feel like there's an opportunity here.
I don't feel like they need to be cut this year at all, and I would not be opposed to giving Big Sandy Chamber of Commerce funds either, because I think what they're doing is helping the community down there and also helping the county, bringing in tourism and things as well, but I think that it would be unwise to budget this year.
Do you remember, was you on the budget when we increased it from 30
About
to
33
36,000?
thousand.
That's what I was thinking.
And then
Do
get Big
you
Sandy
remember why
3.
they wanted the increase?
I think that was.
Rocky, do you have a
I don't, personally, I don't remember them asking
input
for
or
it. I think that was
suggestion?
your
Brett
committee.
has a good argument, Phil's got a good argument, I'm listening to everything everybody's saying.
They were starting to see such an improvement in their tourism and the chamber's function in the community, and I think that that's why they chose to fund it
Just do
more.
33 and 3 as a, compromise.
Because your chamber over the years, I mean, look at how active they've become, you know.
Well,
Suggest that.
I would like to make a motion that we give the Big Sandy Chamber, at least 4,000,
What-
maybe 5,000.
Now,
I
is
mean,
that
they're
in the
part of
same,
county.
Would that be in the same line item?
is that the same line
I
item?
think it would be budgeted to the same line item. We
It would
we
be.
just cut the check
It
a
would still
little
be under
different.
tourism.
Okay, then.
But they're still getting the same amount of money, is it what you're saying?
Would your motion be to add, are you motioning to add 4,000 to that and give 4,000, make it 40,000, give it 4,000 to Big Sandy and 36 to Camden? Is that, am I understanding what your motion is?
No,
That's not what you're-
I
Let's
don't
keep it
wanna
the same.
increase, I don't wanna increase the total, I want to,
4,000.
redistribute.
Gotcha.
Okay, you wanna
I
take
guess,
4,000 out?
So
And if
Camden-
y'all will look on page 8, at the very bottom. Okay. This particular verbiage says, it says Chamber of Commerce, 36,000. So I look at this as, that's my discretion. So I'm all for y'all go ahead and approving $36,000, and the mayor would just simply seek his best discretion on what to fund, who and what and all that, so.
Okay. Well, I mean, my motion was not changing.
Correct,
the
so in a
line,
way,
but
I'm more,
the distribution.
I threw it out for
of it.
discussion, but I'm more than happy,
Okay.
let's keep it as is.
So Camden Chamber would go to 32,000 and Big Sandy 4,000.
Mhm.
And that's a motion by Mary Powers.
I'll second it. But I do have discussion. What does Big Sandy get now? Does anybody know?
They haven't had,
I don't think we received any.
In the downtown,
They haven't had an
in the
active
Downtown
chamber.
Merchants
Yeah.
Association.
Martin wants to say something.
Conversation. Daryl, could we have not left the, chamber account at $36,000 and just had a line item in there that $3,000 or $4,000 of it's going to Big Sandy?
That's
I
what we
think
just
that's
made
what
that
she did.
motion of.
Yeah, I think that's what she did. But they have had a chamber. They've had a chamber, I know, for the last, 5 years, cause I know the
Oh,
people
longer
on the
than that.
chamber.
Since
Well,
I've
that's
been
when
here.
I've been dealing with them the last 5 years.
Who runs it?
Autumn Ratliff is on the chamber, Emily Dykes is on the chamber, and Greg Pfeiffer is on the chamber. That's who was in charge of our parade.
Well, I've been here for 6 years and I've never heard a soul from any Big Sandy chamber
Every
member or
year,
asking for
yeah.
any funding.
Every year they come to the TRRD and ask them for money to fund.
Their
to help fund.
events,
With the
I
spring
got
event.
that, so they get
Spring
it
event.
through TRRD.
Yeah.
Some of
Gotcha.
it, some of it.
They
I
knew they
gotcha.
wouldn't get it from the county.
Well,
But TRRD also funds a lot of chamber-sponsored events as
Mark
well,
wants to
so
say something.
it's,
Mark.
I look at this as, it's pretty much the mayor's discretion. Y'all are just funding tourism.
All right, we got a question from the audience.
I could enlighten you a little bit on that, because I've been on this meeting for years. The Big Sandy Chamber is not a charter. It's
not.
not a nonprofit or whatever, and the county
Gotcha.
can't fund it, that's why they always come to TRRD to get the money.
that makes
Oh,
perfect
okay.
sense.
And
I was
that's-
gonna
that's
say,
what it was, and
I'm
that's
sure.
when they worked off donations. It wasn't, they wasn't chartered.
Are they a nonprofit now?
I don't know, the big, Camden, Big County Chamber of Commerce is.
Right.
And it's got a line item here.
Right.
So to take part of their line item would be like taking some of the election commission's money and giving it to the sheriff's department.
Sure.
That's-
Well, I don't know if we can do that for Big Sandy if they're not a
That's what I was
501c3
gonna
anyway.
Is it legal to do that?
Gotcha.
Or become a member of the Big County Chamber of Commerce.
Gotcha.
But it says
It is
Chamber of
city
Commerce
chamber
and
of
verbiage. I think that's, don't you think that's just a
They're not
general
a
reference? Or do you think
And they're not a
that's
nonprofit.
specifically
That's why,
for the
that's like
Chamber of
I
Commerce?
come to you asking you for funding.
I I mean, I'm just telling you, you don't have to listen to me.
No,
but
it's a- I thank you for-
that discussion about 6 or 7 years ago.
Because when you asked that, the first thought was, is it even legal to do that?
Well, they need to become one.
If you're not
Absolutely.
nonprofit by statute.
But they need to do it in,
Contribute.
I mean, they don't have time to do it.
now,
Right.
but they can at
You
least
can
know
pay the
ahead of
salary
time.
anytime.
For next year.
So we could still leave it,
Yeah.
like, if it's under your discretion, you see
I could
where it
write the
goes.
check in January if I wanted to, you know, so.
So we just leave it like it is. I withdraw my motion.
Okay.
So do we
Approve at
approve as is, or
36,000?
do we
Yeah.
wanna
Mhm.
cut it, or what's the, I need a motion to do so.
Motion to leave as is.
Second.
Any discussion now?
I'm doing a roll call. This was a messy one. Daryl Hicks,
Pass.
Phil Melton,
Yes.
Mary Powers,
Pass.
okay, Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Fails. So we need to decide something then, since this fails. Y'all need to figure something out about tourism.
Can we go to something else, Darryl? Come back to this later.
I don't see why we can't, if that's the wishes of the board.
I think you guys need to address it now and get it done with.
You do.
Yeah, cause I think you guys have a lot of stuff you need to go back to.
Can I change my vote?
You sure can.
Yes.
So we're gonna leave it at 36,000. Okay, so it passes. So on past tourism. And we're gonna go to 58-120 industrial development.
And it's the same as last year,
Mhm.
there's no change. Can I get a motion to accept as is?
Motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Now 58, look, we got ants. 58-220, the airport.
Motion as is.
Second.
All right, any discussion on this? You wanna do voice vote?
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes. Oh, any opposed? 58-300, veteran service. There is an increase here. Would we wanna discuss it before we make a motion?
You can.
Does anybody have any thoughts about it?
What is this increase to, 32 hours, or what's it?
No, it's roughly, it looks like about a $2,500 increase, I can't exactly
It ain't
tell.
much.
Which would probably allow her about 8 more hours. She's right now 20 hours. So it'd probably give her 6 to 8 hours additional a week. I just got back from a 4-hour roundtable discussion specifically on veteran services. And, veterans make up 10% of Benton County population. We're the highest per capita county in the state of Tennessee. Their financial impact is nearly $20 million in this county. And we really don't fund it worth a darn.
No, sir.
And, what happens is you get people in this position motivated, but then you wear them down. It's a lot like our ACO. They go in there with great intentions, but you can only work so much, because we know they're working 40 hours a week, but only getting paid for 20. And, I talked to the, two US senators today, a congressman and state representatives about, we need some additional funding from this, but not from Benton County. We need it from the VA, we need it from state veterans. So this may improve down the line, but honestly, I've seen Bonnie work, and she's been up here a lot on her own dime. And, just the other day, she helped a veteran get $46,000. She helped Mr. Ralph Rogers, a prisoner of war, World War II. get his property tax relief that he's been trying to get for like 35 years. You know, she has done a great job, and I just feel like we need to keep them motivated, and we need to also show some respect of what the impact they have on the community. So,
I would make a motion to make this position a full-time position at whatever the starting salary is, $21,000.
Does anybody wanna second that motion?
I would like to amend that motion.
Ben, I will say that from other counties, Operation Bonnie's known, they come here. She's that good, and, I'm just veteran myself, but, just to knowing the knowledge of changes, she's up to steal on it, and she's really good at what she does, and it's very good that you should be full-time somebody.
I mean, I'm flattered by Phil's, amendment. I didn't wanna push, it is worthy of a full-time, at least.
It is, but it is a big hit all at once.
And she may not be able to do that. You know, she may not be able to give us full-time hours, because she does have another job, but at least making that position up to that level, I think is worthy, and it definitely has a return on this community, so. I'm humbled that you think.
Question. Actually, if we made the position full-time, would the person be required to work full-time, or could they work less than full-time? Or would we be better off making it a 32-hour?
That would be up to your boss. I mean, that'd be up to her boss. I mean, you can fund the position however much, you know, if you wanna fund it full-time, or if you wanna fund it at 32 hours, that's up to you guys.
And then-
Does she get paid by the, by the hour?
Yes,
we-
because she's only part-time, so part-time employees are hourly. If she were to be full-time, she would become salary, and the starting salary is 21,000 for your first year.
So if she was, if we funded her for like, the.
32 hours?
32 hours, she doesn't have to work 32 hours.
No, ma'am.
But if it's needed,
If she
Then
does, that
she-
would be wonderful.
yes,
Yeah.
and so it would be there.
See, that's
Yes,
what
she
I'd
would.
rather see.
Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
rather see keep her part-time, but
Yeah.
make her 32 hours. Give her enough money to
Yeah.
make it 32 hours. And then next year,
There you go.
if we see that it's working out real good and she is helping a lot of people, then we can make her full-time if she chooses to be full-time.
I'm really, myself, I'm really ashamed of the way, now, I guess maybe, it's kind of personal to me because my husband's, disabled veteran. And, I go to the VA a lot. And then there's a lot of veterans that I see on the north end of the county. They're just pitiful looking, and they feel like they're forgotten. And we've just now got somebody that really, I think probably lets them know that they really care about them. And she'll probably get so busy, she may have to go, full-time, once they get the word around that, you know, she's really
And we
gonna
may
help
be
them.
able today, Martha Blackburn sits on the, Armed Services Committee, Senate Armed Services, and definitely made the comment that this is something that's high on her radar. So, we may be able to get some additional funding from outside sources, but honestly, if we can go up to 32 hours, that would be huge.
But I went to the service officer in, Henry County in Paris, only because I worked at the bank across the street, you know, and he told me, you know, that he's just overloaded with Benton County because they didn't feel like they were serviced here.
Ashley, I'd like to make a motion to, make this a 32-hour position and get the mayor's office to put the budget in to reflect the 32 hours, and then next month, we'll vote to accept it.
Or next meeting.
Or next meeting, yeah, next month.
Okay, next month, yeah.
So
Okay,
you would
second by
put
Bill
the,
Knowles.
you would put the figures too, and all what that would cost.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna do roll call. So I have a motion by Darrell Hicks, second by Bill Milton, to fund the veteran service officer position at 32 hours and for it to reflect it next meeting.
I will vote on this one.
Darrell Hicks,
Yes.
Bill Milton,
Yes.
Mary Powers,
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
Passes.
All right, that moves us to 58,400. Other charges, it is, yeah, it's a little cheaper than it was last year. Can I get a motion to accept as is?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Motion. I can't do two things at once.
Alright, any discussion on this?
I would just add that with Love's addition down at the interstate, that it could add some lights down there. I'm not sure, we haven't seen any, specs as to whether TDOT will add some or not. So I'm just saying that out for discussion, that the 4,500 for the interstate lights, it could be something.
If that did happen though, we could bring it up before the full commission and just get it amended.
It shouldn't be a big differential, because the one time the lights were off, we probably saved money this year because some of the lights weren't working.
Alright, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes. Okay, we got 58,500 contributions to
That's
other
our nonprofits just shown there again.
nonprofits. Do we wanna do them now, or what is the wishes of
It's
the?
reflected on page 8, Fund 101.
Oh, that's the whole.
Now, we increased the non.
All nonprofits, have so far that we went through have stayed the same, except we increased the soil conservation.
And we have a couple extra ones.
Yeah.
That are,
The
are they
FYI
reflected
planning.
correctly in this
Yeah.
draft?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I would like to discuss, I think it was the FYI clinic maybe,
Hope Center,
FYI clinic,
the one that gets most of their money from the church.
Christian Community Outreach Center.
No, I can't,
Hope Center.
I thought we,
The
Oh,
one
reduce
that
that.
we did, but
Oh,
I
the Hope
wanna,
Center.
I just wanna, no, the Hope Center, no, the Hope Center is.
is the rehab.
That's just wait.
Oh, okay.
They're building a male rehab here
okay.
in Benton County.
But I think it was the Hope Center. Does anybody know where that's at?
It should be
It's
on page
page 8,
8,
page 8 right
right
here.
there, your nonprofits.
Oh, it ain't broke down. Like the rest of it.
That's the line, the total number budgeted item.
I mean,
It's a huge impact.
do what, Mayor?
Hope Center has a huge impact.
Yes, that's not the FYI clinic, I think is the one. That was the new one.
Mm-hmm.
Did,
I forgot what they did.
They do, pregnancy consultations and help provide for
is it
young
new?
women.
That's something we wanna keep in there. Before we make a motion, I wanna talk about it. Women know more about this than I do. That's why I'm asking y'all your opinion.
Is this the only place in the county that can go?
That receives that kind of
Information?
It's an anti-abortion clinic.
Right.
What are you talking about?
We're not
It's
calling
a crisis.
Oh.
We're not calling it that,
Crisis
it's called a
center.
pregnancy crisis center.
Right. But my point is that I would like a woman's perspective on this one, to say, hey, it's a good idea, or no, they don't, you know what I'm saying?
It is needed.
That's what I'm
In my
asking, is it
opinion.
needed?
I've seen her out in the community, and I've seen that organization. I mean, they're very community active.
Mhm.
I have. I'm strong in my
Enough
faith,
said, then we'll.
so
That's what I'm
that's
asking.
all I have to say
And
in
we-
my decision on this,
Alternative.
on how important
I
I
don't
think
wanna
it is.
turn, I don't want. We cut it in half, I know we did.
We cut all of them in half.
Right,
For
and I don't wanna be the
fairness.
one to say, hey, I don't wanna take care of our young mothers
Sure.
that need help. I mean, I'm not for taking it away, and what I'm asking is, do we need to fund it a little more, or
Might
maybe
be
to
something
say
to look, I mean,
What
it, that's,
was it originally, what was it?
5,000?
yeah, cause we cut it in half. Mm-hmm.
For this one, it's a new,
It is
it's
new.
not uncommon for us to do things 1 year at a time and switch from this one over to another one. I think for
And if you wanna leave it like it is now, and maybe next year, if we're on the budget committee,
The Hope
Give them a little pay raise.
Unless you resign, you're stuck here for a few years, buddy.
You never know. Property taxes coming up, I may bail. That was my point, dude. Are we giving them enough?
Well,
Are
We
we
can
giving
only
them
give
too
so
much?
much.
Right, I
We
understand
can
that.
only give so much.
I think we ought to just leave it like it is.
I think we're-
Wait
I
till
think we're
next
good.
year.
Can I say something on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you give them too
No,
much,
you said you wouldn't.
well, I just, you start giving these people too much, they won't try to help themselves either.
Well, this one here,
They do help themselves.
right, they're already
They get it.
doing all they can do, is my thing. All right, we got a couple other new ones, that I'd like to talk about. We've got the soul department. It's done. The hearing and speech center. No, they don't.
We don't. They didn't send one in on time.
Okay. And then the Christian Community Outreach Center, that was it.
In Big Sandy.
Does anybody have any, you wanna leave it the same? Does anybody have any issues with it? What I'm trying to do is, I don't want somebody, oh, that's a new one, we don't need to do that. I wanna get it all out on the table and be done with it.
Well, I think we
They
really spent
feed.
some good time on our nonprofits that day that we had.
You did, but I
Yeah.
just
That
wanna
was
make
a
sure.
very good meeting and we all really put our heads together on that one.
I just wanna make sure. And then the rest of them are all the same and I don't have no issues.
And we know the Hope Center's only the one time, won't ask for it again, because that was for strictly to help with that rehab this year, remember? So,
So can we just make a motion to accept all the nonprofits
with the increase of the,
Increase to
soil,
5,000
yeah.
or so.
with the, that'd be 15. All right, can I get a motion to accept as is with the change to the soil conservation?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll give you that pleasure, Mary.
She was nodding to you.
Tongue-tied.
Second.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes. All right, we're done with all the nonprofits then. We just knocked a big chunk out. So where are we at now, Ashley? Did we
Right
get
here.
the-
We got the
Page
employee benefits.
32, yeah, which we know have 58,600,
Is it miscellaneous?
it's employee benefits.
58,600?
That's our health insurance, we already know what that's, you know.
That's nothing we can deal with, I mean, that,
Just hopefully it's not short.
yeah, that's not ours. to
Motion
discuss.
as is.
Can I get a second?
Yes, second.
Okay,
All in favor say aye. All
Derek?
opposed?
Sir. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish, I'm sorry.
It passes.
Election Commission, I mentioned, last time we met, I believe that they were possibly having an issue, with, illness, and Mark, he's here and he needs to address us about that.
Oh, and I apologize, I did not ask for citizens forum, and I just realized that, I apologize. So if anybody wants to speak, stand up and have at it, I apologize.
You don't have to apologize. I appreciate you guys all serving on the budget committee. I know it's a thankless job, and I think you're doing a great job. I've been over the elections commission for 10 years now, and the first year that we came in, my commission and myself, we cut a full-time position, and we've done that for 10 years, so we've probably saved $350,000 or whatever. My commission voted in our last meeting for me to come and help talk to you about the situation we're having right now. And the situation is my one deputy, I only have one employee, it's one full-time employee. He's got stage 4 melanoma, and he's had it for 2 years now. It's come back on his head 4 times.
Hey,
Ward.
if y'all would, I can't hardly hear you. I'm sorry.
It's come back 4 times on his head, but he's been to MD Anderson for the last 2 weeks, and it's in his both lungs, his heart, and his liver. So who knows what's gonna happen? We know probably what's gonna happen. He's doing all kinds of experimental stuff at Vanderbilt and at MD Anderson. They're doing radiation, they're doing the whole thing, but I'm making it fine as far as, I'm there. But sometime this year, I'm gonna have to train someone to help me through the presidential election and plan for that. So what I need to ask y'all for, and my board's already approved it, is to add 15,000 to the part-time personnel, just where I can train someone to take his place, or at least help us through this election year as a part-time.
Gives you that backup.
I'm not asking for another position, and I never will, but I may have to transition through this, I can't go into a presidential election with a man.
You're talking about the young man in your office, aren't you?
He's 34 years old.
Wow.
14, 15.
What page are we on?
Page 14.
Yeah, it really is.
In the top of 15.
So this will be.
I have some in part-time personnel now, but that's what we use for election day help.
How did we skip all that?
Line 169, the part-time line.
I don't have another road on them.
So it's got 3,000 in there now, just
Yeah, we
put it
started
at
at
18.
Go back
If we can do it at 18,
Okay.
Well, let's do his right
and I
now.
will not use it unless I have to have it.
And
And I'll
what,
use what I have to. I asked,
Which one is
I asked
it?
my
Back
board
up,
if
back up.
It's on page 14,
Fifteen,
right here,
it's safe. It's just we do
line
have to
169,
budget.
part-time personnel.
okay.
We'll get you what you want now,
3,000
Mark.
From
You've saved the
3,000
county a lot of money.
to 18,000.
Okay, I'm just gonna make a motion right now that we change this to what, Brett, say that again?
3,000 to 18,000.
55,500-169, changing part-time personnel from 3,000 to 18,000.
All right, that was my motion.
I second.
Any discussion on that? So that's gonna raise his total to, anybody got a calculator?
173, 369.
15,000.
Okay, you wanna do a roll call vote? We can just-
Sure. Gerald Hicks,
Yes.
Phil Melton, Mary Powers.
Yes.
Rocky Preston.
Yes.
So now, do we need to approve his budget as reflected, or is that
Not
good enough?
necessary, this is good enough.
Okay.
But it does change it.
176, 369.
It changes it to, I believe, 173, 369.
173, 369. Easy enough.
Thank you.
Can I give a little more input on that?
Yes, sir, you carry on.
Your USDA discussion, I was here when they first cut that position. That's always been a state funded position on the USDA office, and they changed that to districts instead of counties. And they wanted the county to fund it then at that time to keep it open. And the budget committee at that time didn't want the county to do that because that's exactly what happened with the health department a few years prior. It was totally 100% state funded health department. They gave us a grant to add a person for 1 year, and then the county had to pick that up, and it becomes permanent. So you're talking about funding state offices through county taxes. Just food for thought.
Yeah.
And the discussion at that time was, the people that are going to the USDA office are going to get checks. So most of them don't mind running the honeymoon repairs.
Is that something you could check in, Brett, and then, cause anything we vote on
It's just
tonight is
something to
not
look into.
final, I mean, we can
I
always go back
understand
and
that.
change it.
I was just
before.
at that meeting, and I know that most of y'all weren't on the budget committee at that time, so.
Yeah, and what we're really doing is paying for boots on the ground in Benton County. The office is
Right.
already there.
I know, it's already there sitting there.
We're just giving them incentives to come here.
Yeah, I understand.
I see
My
what
only
you're
point
saying.
was, man,
I know
I've
it gets
got
to
a
be
lot
the
of
way.
people
I
that
see what
would,
you're saying.
that would like to do business with that office, and they
That
can't.
won't run to Huntington or
Right.
can't.
Right.
I understand
Me
that.
included, I'm not going to Huntington, I ain't got time.
Well, if you're going to pick up a $30,000 check, you will. That's what the discussion was at that
Yeah,
time.
that's a little different.
But you may need them for things other than that. I don't know. I just wanted to give y'all that heads up because it will be the county funding the state office if you do that. Just like with the health department, we've turned into, I don't know how much that budget is now. I just know we picked up 1 or 2 positions on that when the state cut it. But appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for that.
We need to go back and pick up some of this.
Yeah, me and Ashley was talking, we started in the middle of the pack somehow. Hey, but it's all right, we got a lot done.
Back on 13 and 51,100.
Page 13.
Start from the front now.
51,100.
What is all
Okay.
See, we may have in the past.
We have in the past, but that's all right. Let's knock it out so we can move forward. Page 13.
So 51,100
Mhm.
county commission. Does anybody want a pay raise?
Now's your time.
Just kidding. I need a motion to it's different.
Well, there's money included for in-service training,
training.
and then a little more in other charges.
Is this in-service training, is that like what I had to go do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I didn't get my money back for it? Cause I didn't ask.
Oh. Kudos to you.
Is that including the CPAS?
Well, I just felt that
Classes?
the way we, you know, cause
Was part of it.
they changed the law where it had to be required training, right? So that, everybody had to go to Murfreesboro.
Oh, yeah.
And the past commissioners didn't get that luxury, you know, but now they've changed it and they made it a requirement. But I'm one that believes in training, and if we're ever gonna have better commissioners, I do believe that commissioners should be allocated. And what I calculated was a $200 class, you know, so that's like a, you know, or just $200, that's 1 day of training with travel. And so if you do it for $200 for one, you kinda gotta factor in the possibility that all 18 commissioners will opt for at least a 1 day training class. So, it doesn't mean they will, so that, you know, we may not spend that 3,600, but we did allocate the 3,600 for that purpose, to say that's one commissioner taking one training day a year to attend something that's gonna be of improvement, to your job and your position. And like you said, honestly, commissioners are, you know, it's a thankless job. Honestly, you really are underpaid. I mean, you know, to do what you do, but this is at least a token. This was my suggestion to say, this is still investing in yourselves, you know, to become better commissioners. So that's where the 3,600 come from. The 1,000 bumped up from other charges, I believe. What was that? That was something that was like an additional office clerical, or was that like I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me, but that was factoring in.
Something for the training, I believe, or travel. or
Yeah, like
something.
bringing someone here to train, you know, so that was like, if we had that parliamentarian, you know, he wants to come here and give us a training. So that was allowing for one person to come here and train us on their knowledge.
I went to some training in Jackson, when I was a commissioner before, and I really enjoyed it. Very informative.
This is just my opinion, so don't worry about that. When I thought about running, I knew there was gonna be training, and I think, unless it's a lot of money, if it's just a couple $100, I just felt like that it was my obligation because I knew about it ahead of time. It wasn't nothing that just got sprung on me. That's why I don't ask for my money back. You know, I got voted in, you know, and I don't feel like I should take the money back.
That's admirable.
It is.
And a lot of times, you're still, like, if you go to Murfreesboro and those rates are $179 a night or something,
It's
so a lot
different
of
if it's
times,
$500 or
Well,
$600.
this is kinda meeting you halfway.
What happened to me coming from Murfreesboro was a big old bird jumped out from the medium and hit my windshield right in front of me.
An owl, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and so I had a big expense and,
Insurance claim too.
insurance claim, renting a car,
Yeah.
you know, for 2 or 3 days until the vehicle could get fixed.
It worked
So-
out good for me. Me and Ronnie, he drove, I paid the motel. I mean, not a big deal. And do you have any thoughts on
I'm enjoying the conversation.
it? I'm not saying no, I don't oppose it, cause I don't.
I agree with
Some may
Dave
want it,
on
some
that.
may not.
Some may not be
Right.
able to pay for it.
That's right.
I agree with you on that. I think they should, to get a good council member, somebody that understands the system of schooling, the building, or something, you just don't get that. I know there's several of them that would love to go, but, you know, you take, I'm gonna call her name, not to disgrace me, whether like Don Pepper or somebody that on fixed income.
Fixed income,
You know,
yeah.
if you're working, I'd say with Mr. Hicks, you know. he's
I'd
got
rather take
full-time
my
job.
money and give to people like that.
Yeah,
that
so
need
I
it.
know there is people, if they get elected, and then we just talking about what we've got here, that would go to school if they had the money to go. So, I'd say.
So I need a motion to approve as is.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Let me add this, Darryl.
Oh, I didn't ask for.
It's just, I voted for it, but I think the commission, first of all, you have to afford to be a commissioner.
That's exactly right.
Do we want the commission to be a bunch of iron workers, boilermakers, millwrights, and doctors? We've eliminated the low class, the people that live in poverty and $32,000 a year, they can't afford to be a commissioner. The ones that's got homes and children and jobs and 2 jobs, so that account right there, and I'm not suggesting let's raise anything. It's, I'm gonna say it one more time, you gotta afford to be able to be a commissioner.
I agree with you.
Cause I would be one of those people that if I were a commissioner, I don't make enough money that I would be able to go spend $205 a night for a hotel stay
Right.
plus whatever registration fee. I just couldn't.
And that's what, you know, I'd rather somebody get it that needs it.
Sure.
I'm not saying I'm way above everybody else, but I got a
It's
decent
admirable
job and I
that you
can
know,
afford it.
and that is, that kudos
I'd rather
to you,
pass
that's
it on.
admirable, but, you know, for those that may need it.
And one thing, and you hear it on television commercials or whatever, our most important asset is our people.
Yeah, I wouldn't care if it was more.
And I come from a culture where, you know, training and the continued development of your staff was just paramount. And we really don't do that.
At all.
We don't do it in our county offices. The county heads normally go to training, but
Right.
your staff is the most important people. But this is investing in yourselves. We can't pay you a higher salary, but these are just the little things over time that will make our county commission better. You know, and you gotta start somewhere. This is a start.
And Mark Florence, I think he'll agree, you know, if his board members have to go for training, they get reimbursement. You've got to.
Yeah, I'm talking to the school board, I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about,
I
the
mean,
board.
you have 18 commissioners, all 12 of ours don't go, I mean, they have to go one a year.
Right.
And we provide one that they're at the office, but we budget for, and
That's
if
right.
they all 12 go, we might be pushing it, but, I mean, it would, I didn't know it was not in the, there should be funding in the budget for 18 commissioners to do
Teachers do in-service training, y'all make teachers.
And obviously, we don't have enough in the budget to do what we need to, but, and the state's put a lot of that on us, that we have to pick up travel,
I don't know,
as
anytime you wanna
teachers,
give me
30 teachers to go to
I'll turn it down, I'll
June
turn
and say,
something down, but I'll
oh,
take one.
sorry.
Especially after I've seen it.
So, no, if you're asking my opinion, you ought to budget enough for all 18 commissioners to have training.
Okay,
So,
it's already
Okay.
passed.
we already passed it.
I'm sorry, I didn't make this.
Board of Equalization.
Yeah, way to go, Hopper.
Supposed to be quiet.
All right, the next one is 51-210, Board of Equalization. It's the same as it was last year.
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it passes. The next one is 51-220, the beer board.
Motion.
It's the same as it was last year.
Motion over, second.
I do have a question.
Okay.
They get $376. What in the world can you do with $376?
They don't meet unless they have to.
Yeah, what is it for? Those what I'm asking.
Beer permits.
I think,
Okay.
The fee
That's
is
what I
for
just
beer
did.
permit.
Just, they get paid to meet.
Right.
I just,
Beer permit.
what can you do with that much money? You can't.
well, and this is something I made a brief comment about. I just wanted to say that I'm looking at, I won't, you know, we'll wait till next year to do it, but I want us to at least consider that there's about 5 oversight boards in this county that have what you call somewhat of a legislative authority. I mean, they really do have some teeth behind them. The beer board is one of them, and for those particular type of boards, whether it be audit committee, civil service board, beer board, there's a couple more that solid waste board, that they have some authorities. To me, you know, I do believe they need to be compensated for like what a commissioner gets paid. The Civil Service Board the other day, you know, showed that
agree
where
with
we
that.
had passed a resolution that they get paid. They don't meet as much, but they have a lot of responsibility on it. So this will be one that you may see change over time, but for right now, we're gonna hold as is, and that's why you didn't see it.
All
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
The budget shows they spent $135 in 2018. My question is, would this be the time for me to bring up a motion that we can have drafted here while we're having these meetings?
I'm all for it, buddy.
Make a motion for anything you want.
Unanimous, that's a
Yeah.
unanimous.
I'd probably vote for mixed drink myself. I'm not a beer drinker.
Okay.
All right, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, it passes. And I would like to say, well, Brett was talking about, oh, tell me the committee. Civil Service Board. My opinion, they should meet every quarter at least and get paid for that meeting. But if it is a called meeting, if they have issues, if Kenny's got issues with the deputy and they wanna go before that committee, I think they should be paid for that. You know, if they just wanna meet on their own, that's one thing, but if it is a called meeting for business, I think they should be paid. You know, other than, you know what I'm saying? If you say,
A
hey,
mandatory meeting.
yeah, if it's a mandatory meeting, they should be paid for it. We are.
Well, right now, we are budgeting, and we'll probably bring it up under other business, because it's already been approved by the commission back in 2006, that it be paid, and they're gonna meet in June. So y'all will see something under any other business, funding 3 positions for May and June, 75 hours each. I think it's $225, so it'll be $450. That's the resolution on that, drawing. But I know what you're talking about, and I wanna make it where the wording
Fair.
is where a chairman can call a meeting, a non-paid meeting.
On his
You
own
know,
accord.
but they are, like I say, but it does compensate them for the required meeting.
Right. All right, that moves us to 51,300, the county mayor. We need to look at that 101, see if we can't reduce that one.
We should, okay.
I've already taken the pay
messing.
cut already.
I have a
State
question,
mandate.
about salaries. I was wondering why Jean makes more than Ashley.
A longevity.
38 years and.
38 years.
When
okay.
we did that pay scale, she had, and she,
That's a long time.
it's a long time, and she only makes, as you see there.
Does your employees get a raise every year?
If we get the cost of living,
Okay, how much
that's it.
is that usually percentage?
We're around 2%.
According to Bates this year, he said 2.6 when I asked him about it at the last meeting, but I think it's actually 2.5. I don't think 2.6
Based
sounds
on
like a
whatever
lot.
the state
Number
gives.
2.5 sounds more right. I usually do 2, 2.5, or 3, something of that nature.
3 years ago, it was 4.6.
Yeah, but-
Four.
It was based
4.6%.
on whatever the state was.
Well, it don't look like
That's
there's,
it.
it's been put in.
It's not reflected, there's no pay raise
There's no
reflected
pay,
in
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That comes later.
And June's been there for 30
Um,
years.
The total budget is down, but some of this in yellow is more. Do we wanna?
Yeah, this is a color copy, this is black. I think she printed that off herself at home,
Yeah,
right?
it came in at the last minute and it was printed here
Yeah.
at the last minute, just try to
Gotcha.
get us something for the, 6th draft.
Do we wanna talk about any of them, or?
Well, I can go down them real quick. Do you mind if I look at
Y'all
this?
see paupers burials, that's one of them,
Mhm.
which we have found that, you know.
But the total is down.
How about the data
Or am I looking at
processing?
that wrong?
And I think that's through
included?
pensions, I think the pension.
Pensions are down quite a bit, so that.
Our data processing, that is,
That's the.
our new
The
software,
enhanced
yeah.
systems.
And you'll see a resolution this month too, where we're transferring some funds to get a new server, because our server is deserved.
You can always give me a pay increase if you're.
Burial.
You get paid?
I actually do, yeah.
Oh man, we need to fix that.
To the 21st century.
We do, we really do. All across the board though.
Did you say Gail?
Yeah, that's right. Takes us back to 1960.
But
She
it's
was
only got
she
your
was
name, are you
getting
the only one on
email
that
and
line
stuff.
item?
Yeah.
Actually,
Well,
I'm the
just
only
one of
mayor's,
those.
I'm the only, she's our payroll clerk. She was
Okay, that's the
part-time.
one in front of you.
Yeah.
She's talking about.
Jean, who's in the front office. She does accounts payable. You have Jean
Gotcha.
accounts payable and then Gail is back there with me. She was part-time.
Purchase orders.
Jean.
You have an eye, man, I'm gonna tell you.
That's what happens when you're somewhere in between the meetings.
Gail's back there with me. That's her name.
She's
Make-
very nice.
She's sweet.
Make a motion to approve as is.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or discussion? That's my fault. We already got it. All those opposed? Passes. Okay, that moves us on to county attorney, 51,400, and it's the same. Is this something that could go up if we had issues?
It can. Of course, those are emergency type situations that we would just need to come ask for additional funds, but I think by the time we did that, it would be evident. So right now, we've gotten a pretty good deal, you know, and it's, and probably, I don't know if we're running at the $20,000 level just yet, you know,
That's
right
what I was
now.
wondering if it was gonna work out.
I haven't looked at that. Did you look at that in the report that I sent you the other day by chance? What we're looking at expenditure wise for the county attorney?
I've looked at what you sent me, but I don't remember the county attorney.
I just wonder if we're on track or we're gonna be over. Cause I do not like getting them
so.
ones that we gotta vote on cause we didn't have enough money. Man, I don't like it.
No one
I
does.
thought you were gonna send me those monthly.
You got to remind me. You got to remind me.
You need to email her.
A reminder. That's perfect.
Right now, it's good as it is.
Need a motion to accept as is.
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye, or discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? That one passes. All right, election commission. This is a source.
We approved that one.
We did?
Yeah, we added
Oh, yeah, we did.
15,000.
Registered deeds.
We did register these, did we? No, we didn't.
I don't think we did.
How did we skip it?
We started the program, that's the problem.
Yeah, we started on page 16,
This right here, I wrote this today.
but you just wrote that just a minute ago. This is where you
Oh,
started.
Yeah, we started with the back
Thanks,
up.
Brett. 51,600 register of deeds, before,
It's down.
it's down considerably.
Motion as is.
What page are we on?
Right now, 16.
Okay, thank
The
you.
very top.
Can I have a motion in a second?
Any discussion on this? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? 47. You don't understand what I've been through. 50, no, never mind.
That's where we started.
Did we do
51,800.
county buildings? Did we do everything?
Let me go. We didn't do the jail.
Yeah, we did county buildings.
Did we do 51,800?
We did, no, we
Yeah.
didn't. No,
We did,
No, we
actually.
didn't. We started here, yes, we did, I lied, 51,800 is where we
What
started.
page?
Hold on,
Is that about
51,900.
me?
We started at 51,800. Yeah.
So we've got all of them except for the
We did do 51,800.
sheriff.
Well, we passed it.
and the school, correct?
Sheriff, jail, school, no, we didn't do
Yeah,
the
sheriff
highway.
fits all.
Yeah, we
Decreased
didn't
it
do
to
highway.
25,000.
We didn't do highway,
We
where's
didn't do
highway?
highway or
We
schools.
just, I mean, we went.
No, we didn't do school, I know, we didn't do highway, we didn't do,
Overall budget.
do we wanna look at
Let's look at highway.
Highway.
What page?
it's a table? Where's the highway?
Page 37,
That's where it starts.
that's the revenues.
It's gonna be.
Administration, is that where it would start?
It's gonna be past, it's gonna be on the other side of education, so it's,
Page 40 would be, total estimated expenditures.
Yeah, that's what I'm
this thing's so hard to find, but I know I've seen it.
It must be in front of,
40 is the
education.
total. Highway and bridge maintenance.
Highway bridge marker 6,200 on page 38.
38.
Page 38.
Administration 6,100, I guess, I did the starting point.
How about the highway and public works?
6,100.
6,000, yeah.
Okay, 61, well, or something.
That's what yours is.
6,100, I think it is. No, 6,100 is where it starts.
This is TRD.
Yeah, administration, that's what I was trying to,
Yeah.
a while ago. But then you have a. Total right there.
So, yeah, page 37. So, there's the revenues. And then the expenditures start on page 38.
Right.
61,000.
How do we wanna, this thing's huge. Do you wanna go about approving it or not approving it? You wanna
You
take,
just approve their whole fund if you want to.
yeah, the whole total,
The whole
it's
total.
like some of it's the 3,524,000, that's,
Well, the county only funds the highway.
I couldn't.
How much?
Yeah, not much at all.
that's what I wanna know.
Yeah,
How much do we fund them? Where
Not
do we
much at
find
all.
it?
Most, not much. Rocky,
It's
do you know how
very,
much
very,
the actual funding that the highway receives?
Well, they're getting-
Say that again.
Do you happen to know the exact figure that the county funds the highway?
Less than $500,000.
I thought it was around 400
Where
or
is it
something.
that we can
They
see?
get it from payment in lieu of taxes, they get 100,000 or 50,000 from the payment in lieu of taxes. And that is on, I believe, page, section 5, page 6, section 5. And, so we give 50,000 to the highway and public works, 100,000 to the general purpose school fund, and that's, a lot of that is to keep their, averages up and and, you know, meet our mandatory requirement of funding, so that that might be the only,
So that's
County
probably what we
funding.
have to give them.
yeah.
That's what I wanna see if it's went up from last year or it stayed the same. That's
Can I,
my
can
basic question.
can I be part of the conversation?
I hope so.
I've looked at the school more than I have the highway. And Mark, I'm gonna invite you to jump in because I may be wrong and you might wanna correct me. It is if Steve Bates was here, I would want him to describe, I'm trying to understand the, maintenance of effort. I would ask Steve to have a conversation about maintenance of effort. I would ask him both, how much have we increased the maintenance of effort in both the highway and the schools? I would wanna have a conversation about not increasing the maintenance effort. I didn't say I'd make a motion, just to have a conversation about it. It is of my opinion that Steve Bates, with the highway, and even more the school, is, let me turn my notes, is underestimating incoming revenues and overestimating the expenditures. I believe that until he can show me something different. And for instance, Ashley, you wasn't here. I'll see if I can find you here. The fund balance for the school in 2012, and this is audited numbers, $3,132,000. In 2018, $5,520,000. So that fund balance has continued to grow. We haven't had a 19 or a 20-year audited.
Hey Rocky, I want you to look and page, because I wish that fund balance was right. I wish it was 5.7 million. I'd be doing cartwheels. But if you would look on page 5 at general purpose schools, and you'll look at the total appropriation.
Let me get to that
If you
page.
look at the ending fund balance is 3.695 million, because that's because our current fund balance today is 4.5 million, and we pull $800,000 out of the budget the last 2 years out of our fund balance to balance the budget. The reason is we've not asked the county for a penny in 20 years. Mr. Robertson in his 13 years, and mine in my 6, and I know Mr. Dinwiddie in his last 2. Now, with that said, the county has met their maintenance of effort, and we hadn't asked, and we hadn't had to. When you look at our fund balance compared to the county's fund balance, our budget is right at $21 million. That 4.5 million, that sounds like a whole lot. It takes 1.8 million to run that school system's money. And so, 4.5 million in my bank account, I probably wouldn't be here right now. But 4.5 million in our schools is a lot healthier than we were a few years ago, but it's nowhere where we need to be. And I received an email from the chairman, Angie Hearn, about there was some discussion after I left the other day, and I apologize because I'm always, I have meetings all the time, but I had to go to the baccalaureate service, and when the kids are involved, I don't miss. But something about we were overfunded. I don't know if that, we've been really lucky the last 3 years, but so I would assume the county has. Sales tax has been really good. If you look since Christmas, and I'm sure Brett has like I am, it's starting to worry me because it was less in December. It's been a little better, but it's nothing like it's been the last 2 years. So if you look at sales tax, I think you see the economy is going down. The one thing that $5.5 million is not. If you look at the 3.6, now obviously we will put some back in there. I would expect the board to fire me tomorrow if I spend everything that we budgeted. But when you're talking about a $20 million budget. But, so obviously the schools are at my heart, but to say we're overfunding, if that comes from, yes, if we receive more property taxes, and Mr. Bates, I know this, because Angie sent me an email about overfunding, and I know there have been commissions that have said, okay, we budget you $2 million in sales tax, and if you hit that and we make maintenance of effort, then you don't get those additional funds. You as a county commission have every right to do that. But I want you to think about this. You talk about other department heads coming up here and asking for money. I don't think you've ever seen the schools come up here and ask for 1 cent. And this is just, I think you need to hear this. The past 8 years, we've used about $4 million out of that fund balance to balance our budget. We hadn't come up here and said, hey, we need to raise property taxes to give our teachers raises. When the state gives a 2.5% raise, we give like a flat, like this year, $750. Our teachers have been they understand. We in 2014, we spent $450,000 on HVACs. Didn't ask for $140. And we spent $250,000 in the last 2 years updating our technology at all 7 schools. We didn't ask for anything. 2016, $60,000 chili, nothing. $400,000 worth of 5 new buses in the last 3 years. We have a nurse at every school in this county. BEP funds 1. I can go on and on and on. I just, from our standpoint, to say that we're overfunded, that is, it feels like we're being punished because we're budgeting correctly.
Can I say this?
Sure.
I don't, if I said you were overfunded.
I'm just
I didn't
saying
mean
the
to say
email
that.
that I received from the chair said there was some discussion that the schools were overfunded.
I appreciate your words. I think that Steve Bates has taken very good care of the school. I think he has underestimated incoming revenues and overestimated the expenses. We're looking at 2020 budget. He has you for $789,000 under budget right now. If you go over to the 2017 audit year, the audit shows that we had $397,000 to the good, to the positive. Steve Bates in 2017 had us underfunded at $579,000. And we're talking about the maintenance effort, which I need to know more about, and believe me, I had a long
The
conversation.
maintenance of effort is this easy, Rocky. If you give us $1 million in 2018, you have to give $1 million the next year, unless we have less students.
I think by Steve Bates underestimating revenues coming in to the school, whether it be property tax, local option taxes, I think if he was more accurate on them numbers, then we could meet the local maintenance effort and have cents to put, or dollars to put back into the general fund. That's my thoughts about it. And always
just to
meet the
give you an
maintenance of effort.
indication, our BDP is up $580,000 because we're growing. And that's almost 5% of $12,400,000 last year. And the county's not giving any additional money, nor would we have, whatever we've been given in revenues, we have stayed the course. Where you're talking about, Rocky, is, I don't think it's fair, and I'm not Mr. Bates, I can't speak for him. I have nothing against Mr. Bates. I never thought he was, padding the schools, revenues though. But if you look at sales tax the last 2 years, we've been blessed. What I guess my question is, if the schools had some additional revenues, what has the county done with those? Plus, that fund balance, the county draws the interest off that fund balance. Plus, the Tennessee School Board last year put before the legislation that they thought that interest should go to the schools, and our school board at our annual meeting said we don't agree with that because our county commission and we've not asked them for anything because our fund balance, we've been able to maintain that, and that gives them some money for that. Another thing is that sales tax, and there's a surrounding county, and I'm not gonna throw my director under the bus, but they overestimated sales tax, and you've heard this, if you've been on the commission, I've been up here, a neighboring county lowered their property taxes, raised their sales tax and revenues to meet maintenance of effort, and guess where they're at right now? About $400,000 short of revenue, and that's where we would never want to hit.
We're not talking about lowering our property taxes.
Yeah.
We're talking about local option sales tax. I want to remind everybody that when you go to anywhere in town and you pay sales tax, it's 9.75 cents on a dollar. 7 cents of that goes to the state, and 2 cents and 2.75 goes to the county. That money is split in two. Half of it goes to the school, and Steve Bates has the other half going to the debt service. Now, this is for instance, when I say Steve Bates is underestimating incoming revenues. His estimated 2019 numbers, he has local option sales tax to the school, $2,150,000. I've been to Sherry Beasley's office. I've got the first 9 months of sales tax for this year, and that sales tax includes the city, the county, and Big Sandy. I took the first 9 months, I divided it, I added another 3 months, and if we don't do a nosedive and we keep the average we're going right now, it's not going to be $2,150,000. It's going to be $2,323,000. So that's how your dollar amount, the school fund, continues to grow. That's just one item out of many that I found in here.
But
And
if
there's-
you look, our fund balance has not grown in the last 3 years.
I'm looking at audited numbers.
Well, that $5 million is not an audited number, because if you look at the budget that we just proposed, and like I said, we pulled $800,000 out of fund balance last year to balance the budget. We pulled $800,000 this year. We pulled $600,000 out. I'm not looking at the exact numbers. I mean, just in fund balance alone and balancing the budget, and here's the bottom line, Rocky. You as a commission, you can cap our revenues as it is. You can say our maintenance of effort, we've met it, we're a good county, but when you do that, and you have every right to do that, then next year I have no option but to start cutting positions, programs, because instead of the county giving us additional money, basically what you're doing is saying, hey, if those sales tax are more than we budgeted, and we've been blessed the last 3 years. If you go back a few years before that, we haven't been, and I don't think you'll see that happening. And here's the thing, we could have spent that money. We could have said, hey, sales tax were great, we're gonna have a capital, but you never look at a fund balance as a savings account. That's not what it's for. And I agree with the mayor one day when he said, if we're gonna grow this county, then it's our responsibility to find out how we're gonna increase revenues, because, we're gonna use that money. From the school standpoint, we have really tried, and Mr. Robertson did a great job of building that, but our expenses, and our raises, if you look, we've tried to budget conservatively where we can continue these things. Yes, I can tell you right now, in 2018, property tax and sales tax, it was $133,000 over budget. In 2016, it was $335, and in 2017, it was $300. And those are 3 of the best years in the history of Benton County. But I think if we start, and there's been counties that do that, and obviously, as a school system, I'm just telling you, as director, it would be devastating to start looking and say, oh, well, we could have that, and you have every right. But to say we're over, I think, I've always said the county has just as much obligation as the state. Can you imagine if I come up here and said, could we have a 5% increase in revenues for the school system? And Brett would say, cousin, are you trying to get me? So obviously I'm partial. I'm loyal to that school system and those kids, and I will, and whatever this commission chooses to do. But when Angie sent me a text or an email and said, I would like to sit down with you and talk, because they're talking about us being overfunded. So I'm saying, okay, how are we overfunded? I see what you're saying, Ronnie. I don't think it's a Steve Bates thing saying, hey, we're gonna under budget so the schools, what we've been, you can look across the state, the sales tax, our economy has been wonderful.
The county sales tax for Benton County is gonna break $1 million for the first time this year. $1,075,000. Mark, and I'm looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the budget,
Sure.
I'm looking at what's sent to me, what's given to me, and you mentioned 2018. 2018, Steve Bates projected you to be $668,000 under budgeted. You mentioned a while ago that you had to take that out of your account to pay that under budget. The audit shows that you're only $79,000 under budget. That's audited numbers in 2018. You go back to 17, I know I've said this once tonight, I'm gonna say it again. Steve Bates had the school at $579,000 under budgeted. The audit shows there were $397,000 positive to the good. And we're probably gonna continue to politely disagree, and I'm listening to everything you're saying, and you might change my mind, but I'm gonna ask everybody to consider, when Steve Bates, we first started these meetings, he tried to convince me property taxes, delinquencies were up. He tried to convince me sales tax were down. He tried to convince me property values were going down, delinquencies were going up. He would probably deny telling me that now. I'm in favor of having CTAC to do budget analysis over this budget right here and his numbers, and let CTAS tell us if Mark's right, or I'm wrong, or I'm right, or Mark's wrong, or he's half right, or I'm half right. They're waiting on us. They're waiting on the commission to pass a motion to send this to them and let them look at these numbers. And we could also have them to do a debt analysis and a revenue analysis while they're doing all that. And I'm not gonna put a motion on the floor tonight because it has to come from a full commission. But I won't say that I won't be at Monday night.
I did call Steve Bates, and I think because we're dealing with such large numbers, it's hard to really wrap your mind around it and get a thorough understanding, you know, because when you see under budget, sometimes when you match that line with another line, they work together, and I asked him, you know, what you concerns, and he promised me, he said he goes by what basically the formulas that drive. Okay, the formulas this year say we're going to have certain growth or certain decline, and he bases the sales tax off of that, and he really tries to be at the very bottom dollar. It's better, I guess, to be take the more conservative approach. But at the end of the day, he did tell me, he said, actually, he says, we only really give the county portion, we really only give the schools, he stuck by that number, $25,000. You know, I mean, he was adamant that at the end of the day, your numbers, your BEP, and what his BEP comes in, is just a benefit if it's on but you can't base the budget off of that. If we were to budget them even and the schools had a banner year, you know, with funding, that's okay, you know, but he still stands, he says, I promise, he says, the county, the net result is the county only gives them $25,000. Now, I'm like you, I'm still trying to understand, these are big numbers, it's hard to get a thorough understanding, and I'm for, like I say, bringing them in and taking a step by step, and I'm for having Mike Gailey here too, because I think CTAS is a great advisory source. I would be more than welcome to have them. When you say budget analysis, I don't know if we need a resolution for them to do that. I don't know why they can't come here and give us an advisory, we invite them to the next budget.
I kinda agree with Rocky. I mean, it ain't no different than going to the doctor and getting a second opinion. I mean, we're just, all we're doing is bettering ourselves.
Let me say this, Darryl. Steve told the mayor we just give them $25,000. Is that $25,000 under his estimates of what sales tax and local options are gonna come in? When the actual numbers come in, they jump up, are they gonna jump up to $500,000 or $600,000? That's what I'm seeing out of it.
No, and that's kind of Monday morning quarterbacking. I mean, you know, you don't know until you get the numbers in, and, you know, again, I don't think you can't base a budget on what you think is gonna happen.
There's a history of underestimating incoming revenues here, and I've tried to.
But again,
show
that differential, I wanna make sure, that's why I say I would like for CTAS to give us that explanation. Take Steve Bates out of the equation and ask CTAS, what are these differentials? These big numbers that show us negative here or positive here. I'm for getting CTAS to explain that to us, but because they probably speak more on our terms. I mean, but I think when they're done, they're probably going to actually affirm what our financial advisors putting in this book. I guess the only question I have to Mark, and that, because the payment in lieu of taxes, you know, y'all get $100,000 of that. What does that do? Does that help your averages, or is it something that?
It's just a part of maintenance of effort. I mean,
Okay,
it's revenue. I mean, there's no question, you can go to CTAS or you can go to the state website. Maintenance of efforts is clear. I mean, it's if you give this much this year, you have to give this much this year. The one thing I would caution you, we've been fortunate because our numbers have grown. There's a connecting district that lost $300,000 in BEP money this year, and the estimate that we just received $600,000 additional. They were just cut $300,000. So when you start talking about capping our revenues, and you can get CTAS in here, there's no sense. You can do that, but here's the bottom line: you can give us our revenues, and you can say we're giving you $6.2 million, and when that comes in, you're done. We're not giving you another penny. Which there's been counties that do that, but when you do that, me as director of schools, should be fired tomorrow. You have to realize that when I present your budget next year, there's gonna probably be about $700,000 or $800,000 worth of cuts.
You're right, if we did what you just said, then that $789,000 under budget would stay accurate, it wouldn't move.
Yeah, but Rocky, when we
I'm
have
agreeing with- I'm agreeing with
lectures
you.
in for 85,000, I'm not gonna be pulling it out of fund balance. I'm gonna be coming up here and saying, we hadn't asked y'all anything for 20 years, but we need this. When we have $450,000 worth of air conditioners, I'm gonna be up here every time we have something, which we hadn't been here in 20 years. We benefited the last 3 years of great sales tax. I think the whole county has. But, I mean, that's your options. I mean, CTAS's much smarter than I am.
I'm
but-
just reluctant to blame Steve Bates right now, and the only reason I say that is, I mean, I came in very skeptical, wanting to watch him, but then I also looked at the budget before he got here, and what our financial health has done since he's got here. I think there's an explanation. We just need to be educated more on it. It makes your head spin a little bit. But again, I am for bringing Mike Gailey here. I wonder why we can't have him sit on a budget conversation. Is it good to have him and the financial advisor in the same room? I don't think they're adversaries or anything like that, but I don't want to blame Steve Bates, because I only look at our budget before he got here and the way the county managed. And there's a reason why they went for a financial advisor, I mean, and you weren't around at that time, I wasn't around, but I clearly see since he has been on board, at least our financial health has improved. So I kinda have to give him a benefit of the doubt, but still, Rocky raises good informational points, and I just wanna know, just to have a better understanding.
And my skepticism comes from my first meeting with this budget, Steve telling me property values were going down, sales tax was going down, delinquencies were going up. So I called CTAS, he said, don't have to pay attention to your financial advisor, go to Sherry Beasley and go to Mr. Hall. So I'll go to Mr. Hall, and our property values went up $11 million last year. Our sales tax is gonna exceed anything they've ever done, and delinquencies ain't no more this year than they were last year, or 2 years, or 3 years ago. So
But it doesn't mean we collect a tax off of that $11 million increase.
all the
yet.
point I was trying to make, he wasn't factual with me. He tried to steer me wrong.
And there may have been a misunderstanding, like I say, the property values,
Oh, you better start
we're
working
still,
hard in here.
we're still collecting taxes based
All
on,
about that.
we're still collecting taxes off of an old data until that reevaluation comes out.
Okay.
So one number could tell you that it's going up, but we haven't began realizing the monies from it yet, but write it down, but that's a good, I just wanna ask the question just so to have clarification on it. But
Thank everybody for the conversation, I've enjoyed it.
I'll actually ask Mike Gailey if he can.
Mike, I'm not in favor of putting Mike against Steve. We need to give this budget to CTAS and let their generals look at it. And let them give us a report. Let them do a revenue analysis, let them do a debt analysis, let them do a budget analysis.
Sheriff, school, highway. And when I say sheriff, I mean the jail and everything.
But he don't want an invite from the budget, he wants an invite from the full commission. CTAS.
Oh, CTAS?
All right,
Motion to approve highway as is.
all right, I got a motion to approve highway as is.
Second.
Where do I, what page is it, say it was? Got a second.
61,000.
Just go see him, Mike Gailey, or you want him to come here. I think it'd be better if he came here.
I talked to him every day. I just
All
let
right,
him.
we're gonna do a roll call on that.
Hey, question on, before you, I got a
Okay,
comment. on that.
question.
Did we get a second on that motion?
Yes.
I'm going to oppose the highway and the school until we've had a budget analysis by CTAS. So my vote's gonna be no for that reason.
Okay.
Do we wanna,
You wanna pull the motion?
do we wanna pull the motion and just let
No, I'll leave the motion on the floor. Let's vote.
Gerald Hicks,
pass?
Phil Moulton,
Yes.
Mary Powers,
No.
okay, and Rocky Crescent.
No. Please don't be insulted by that, Mark. We want CTAS to look at this budget.
So
That was only for highway, that didn't include school.
right, but the highway, it's kind of the same.
Well, the budget
That's what
analysis will be
we
for the whole budget.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts CTAS to look one bit. I like it when people check in. Do we wanna dive into the sheriff, or do we wanna set another meeting and do that?
I would suggest we set another meeting
Yeah.
Let me-
within half hours, so, and we have made progress.
We've made a lot of progress. We've talking about the sheriff and the jail. That would be a good conversation after CTAS is looking at
Yes,
this budget too.
that's why
And we
I
get a
asked.
second opinion of how much money we got to spend, or ain't got to spend.
Budget with the revisions, once we get all these revisions in that we went over tonight.
Ashley's gonna send them to,
Steve.
So
I wish you could give me a draft with all my notes on it.
We have to do it Monday night, right?
We need to get them in here quickly.
There-
No,
we're-
no,
there's-
You don't have to.
CTAS will come to this meeting, not the full commission
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, and you don't have to make a motion at the
To get-
commission meeting.
No,
You
that's
just
it.
come.
That's all.
It's not having them come, it's having them to do an analysis. I'm not gonna say they'll come here and do it. We'll get them a copy of this budget.
Right.
Yes,
I'm
and-
saying like it doesn't, you don't have to make a motion or get a motion from your full legislative body for them to do
Yes.
that.
I would say the budget
Our
committee could do that.
No, they want an invite from the full
That's
commission.
CTAS.
So the mayor,
CTAS,
the
yeah.
mayor just can't do that? Cause I was under the impression with CTAS, the mayor could just hire them to do the budget even.
That's not the conversations I've had.
Okay, so does it have to be just a voice motion from the floor and reflected in the minutes for them?
They want it reflected in the minutes.
So it does not have to be like a resolution?
A resolution would be nice, but as long as it's reflected in the minutes, they're satisfied.
Okay.
So it could be made, the motion could be made from the floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason that is technically, this is not the mayor's budget. You know, so Mike Gailey doesn't owe me anything. This is the commission's budget, and I think that's why he needs it from the work from y'all.
As long as it can be a motion from the floor. If it has to be a resolution, let me know. To type that up.
And you're welcome to
Yeah,
call and talk. You're welcome to ask the same questions, and this, it's a,
I'm all for it, cause I mean, this is their first time for most of us to be on a budget, and I'd love somebody to check.
Yeah,
I don't wanna do nothing wrong.
especially when there's possibility of the taxes.
Does anybody else have any other issues or?
Second opinion.
Comments?
That is everything we can.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure everybody was good to go.
Um,
Bucky, you have anything else?
yes, I do. I don't care how long this budget process goes on. We don't have to pass a budget in May, June, or July. Business continues just like it is.
No, that's incorrect. Our purchasing will come to a halt because we can only operate on 2/3 of the budget. Our payroll will
Comes to a halt
continue.
when?
Well, first off, our purchasing deadline was just 2 days ago, yesterday?
Really?
Yesterday,
Yeah.
for end of fiscal year. But you can only operate on 2/3 of the budget. So it won't continue.
My
normal.
my conversation with Charles Curtis, Director of CTASC over 95 counties, told me if we don't pass a budget, business continues as normal.
That's not true. So
It is-
I'll talk with Charles myself because
Okay.
that is incorrect.
Yeah,
And it's a possibility
That's
I'm not
incorrect.
married.
We operate on 2/3.
Okay.
something that I forgot to bring up, I'd like for us, before we adjourn, there's one point of information and one point of consideration. I would like to purchase a county vehicle, whether it be a minivan, and pull it from the capital line 171. And, it has to go and be passed via the commission, but, I've talked to various department heads, as well as myself, or even y'all. I believe we need a vehicle that is at the county's basically disposal, meaning if a group wants to go to Jackson for training, they've got that option. Instead of reimbursing them for mileage that they're already charging us, I believe the county needs some flexibility to be able to shuttle, visitors, should they come in, whether it be a department head needing to use it to go to a conference or a meeting or whatever it may be. You know me, I live on the road, my truck's got 285,000 miles on it, you know. I don't wanna do that, but I believe we can get a good minivan for roughly $22,000, something like that, anywhere from 20 to 25,000. Ryan Hall, he and I have talked, he is always on the road, he's always using his personal vehicle, you know, charging us for reimbursements, and so, I just think it would be wise on the county to be able to have a vehicle. And whoever uses it, it can just go through the mayor's office, you know, we'll have a policy or something to sign it out and get the keys, and the insurance won't cost us any more, we get so much with our insurance, adding another vehicle will not have any impact on, our insurance policy, but, we can pull that from the capital account 171. The second point of information is I talked to Mark Green's office today, and they are working on getting the sheriff 2 patrol cars from federal funds. So I just want y'all to keep that in mind, because I'm not sure we need to fund for 2 cars out of the capital budget, even though Steve Bates has said that if we ever purchase cars, it really should come from the 171 fund. And that allows us some flexibility, but it has to be passed via resolution. But after talking with Congressman Green's office today, they are actually working on getting the sheriff some type of federal grant, some federal funds, and getting him 2 patrol cars, which is music to our ears, because it's just money we don't possibly have to come up with.
As of right now, the cars got voted off.
Okay, and that's good, but keep in mind, maybe if it comes up later,
It's in his budget.
that's an avenue that we possibly can opt for now.
Yeah, but it ain't in this one.
No, but the one he proposed, and we haven't taken up yet, they're back in.
I got one question.
And I don't know how to request the van, you know, via a budget item. I know it pulls from 171 and probably gets put in vehicles somewhere, but, whatever y'all think, whether it be, I think we need 22,000, no more than 25, and who knows, we might be able to get it for 18,000 or something, but I'm gonna go through the state of Tennessee and like their fleet, or somebody that offers us a tremendous discount.
I got one question about the car.
Okay.
If we do that, and say you're going to Jackson, and he's got 8 passengers in this van, and whoever is the driver is negligent, has a wreck, kills 4 of these people, what kind of burden is that gonna put on the county?
Well, that's
I
why,
mean, I
and
know-
that's why we carry a general liability policy, and we can come up with our own policy that says, first of all, you have to have proof of your own personal insurance, you know, you're a licensed driver.
I understand that, but if he's held negligent, and I know you have an insurance policy, but when you're talking about 5 and 6 lives, you know, most of your liability insurance policies is only $1 million. We could be exceeding that really rapid.
What
It's
if
no different than our
I'm,
maintenance vehicle that we currently have, the
He's
animal
not-
shelter truck that we
He's not
currently
hauling
have.
passengers.
but here's the deal, what if I'm driving tomorrow, and Rocky's riding with me, and we, in my own truck, run off the road and die? The liability's always gonna be there, and in fact, my liability is, why am I driving my personal vehicle, you know, with 285,000 miles, you know, things like that. I just believe we're there, I think we need it,
And I'm not saying we don't.
I know,
I'm just-
but I see what you're saying, the
I'm just
liability.
looking, because I've been in this situation where we worked, you know, we had to haul other employees, and one of our employees had a wreck, and it killed several people in the vehicle, and that company is no longer in business now, because their liability did not cover all the lives that were lost.
That's a question for the trust, for the insurance.
You know, it-
trust.
How do y'all do that? Y'all have a school car, don't you?
We do not, but, I mean, I can't imagine it being any different than school buses or our maintenance, or, I mean, I would think that, you know, that would be covered. And of course, there's also, you know, the Tennessee law has a limit on, you know, how much you can sue as well, and I'm sure the trust would, I would say that's something you could call Andy Porch tomorrow, and he could answer.
Yeah, I'd just like to know before.
I mean, and it's a good question. I just believe that we probably need something, you know, and I'm not, and we'll have a policy, we'll have some type of policy sign out sheet or something of that nature, but, and we get guests in here all the time. I mean, you know, now that they're coming, we kinda have to ask the airport now sometimes for their van, and that was by the
Why
grace
can't-
of,
We were
Why
told
can't we
last
ask the
week,
sheriff?
no, that we couldn't use that.
Why
The
can't
county officials were asked to go and do a half-day training for our new phone system, at the corporate office, Aeneas, and we were told that they couldn't use airport van to carpool or, you know.
Why can't we use the van the sheriff's got that he doesn't use, that we bought and is sitting over there and we don't use it?
well, I believe he's got a van, is that like the 15-passenger van? that
Right,
he's
that's
got
what I'm
and all
talking
that?
about, but, and then he got a bus, I believe, from the school system or somewhere, and he's,
Well,
it's
use
a what?
that van to shuttle,
Like a
shuttle,
military.
with, it's just older. I'm
'Cause
thinking
he
more of a
wanted the van
minivan,
for the
I
litter
don't want,
grant.
I don't want a 15-passenger type van, I don't want it to be built to haul a lot of people, you know. But either way, I just throw it out there for consideration. I'll check on the insurance part and get you an answer on that. But I'm like Mark, I think our general liability coverage is going to probably cover us. But there's exposure every day, you know, if you're in your official capacity, and I know Ryan Hall's always out on the highway doing assessing, he can have a wreck and during the course of his job and probably seek some type of.
How many people?
Is it a million per, occurrence, or is it per person?
When you
Most
say-
your liability
On
is
the
a million
liability.
umbrella.
Well, medical would
I'll
probably be
find
per
out.
person, you know, liability would probably be per occurrence, but,
And how many people can you transport
well, that's why.
before you have to have an endorsement on your license?
15.
How many?
15.
15.
Anything over 15, you have endorsement of a bus. But what you guys are all talking about, if you have a TLN pool, there's no new risk. I mean, because City of New Johnsonville's got a city vehicle, they do the same thing. It's no additional risk than what you're already paying for, because the TLN pool already knows that, hey, there's stupid people on the road, we're gonna have to manage that risk.
I mean, we're in the minority. I know when you take the school directors and we have meetings, I'm sure Brett's the same way, the majority of them drive up in a county vehicle, they don't drive up in a personal vehicle.
Let's look at the date for next week.
When do y'all wanna set another date? I'm gonna tell y'all now, I can't do 4 o'clock anymore. I took off work, I like to take off work. So if y'all wanna start at 4, I won't be here.
What would be the,
For
what
five,
time would you
Bill,
be
okay?
here?
I can be here at 5, I get off work at 4:30.
While you're thinking about it, Ashley's probably right in the budget being finalized. Should she be right? We can always call a special call meeting. It's not like we gotta wait for a
That's
monthly
right.
scheduled meeting.
That's right. We
We have to
can-
have 10 days.
But
notice.
I am contacting Mr. Curtis, cause when I say I'm right, I'm right.
You probably are,
So
I'm
I
sure.
will show you that I'm right.
When do y'all wanna look at having another meeting?
Well, we got the county commission meeting next Monday. Do you guys want to meet any day next
I think we all need to.
Tuesday, the 21st, 5 o'clock, work for anybody? I mean, it's 2 nights, 2 nights in a row. I mean, I didn't know if that was too much for you guys or what, especially knowing our commission meetings.
No, I don't mind meeting.
You said the 21st?
Tuesday.
Is that gonna give you enough time to put it in the paper?
Oh crap, why do you have to remind me about that?
Because I don't wanna be the one answering the
No.
phone on all them.
Sure won't.
I won't be
How many
here.
days you have?
Yeah, but we can always ask.
Look at that, 5 hours? Go check that out.
No, adequate notice.
Okay.
Well, what's
How
that,
about
with notice?
Well,
23rd?
That's all it says.
It'll come out on the 21st, comes out on Tuesday, or Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday,
Wednesday the 22nd.
Thursday suck.
so none. Y'all wanna meet on Tuesday the 28th?
Well,
Oh, wait. Yeah,
Before we
yeah,
set a
that's
date-
Memorial Day.
I mean, we can set a date, that's fine. But if CTASC is coming, don't we need to kinda see when they can come?
You want me to contact them and then
I don't know how
I'll
to
just
do
email
that.
you guys?
When did y'all say that you would have it? What day?
What day? We ain't.
We haven't yet.
That's what I kinda, I mean, if CTASC is coming,
Here's what I would suggest. And maybe all of you wanna hear it. I don't wanna pit CTAS versus Steve Bates. I think it's disrespectful to the financial advisor, but I'm okay with me and Rocky driving up there, or anyone that wants to drive. I'll go see Steve Bates directly with one of y'all, or we'll get him in here and cause I don't want him to feel pressure either. I want him to tell it what he believes without knowing there's a financial advisor there too. I want him to be forthright and honest, but, so should we just invite him to be here an hour before Steve Bates, or just sit through, or I don't know,
I don't really wanna go meet, cause like I said, I can't take off work in the morning.
That needs to be done as a committee,
Yeah,
not one or two
I
people.
agree with
going
that.
to-
well, a lot of it is, Rocky has some questions or whatever, and maybe by
Still needs to
him.
be an open meeting.
Okay.
If he's not doing anything wrong, then he'll welcome it.
I think he will be.
Yeah,
I mean, although,
Well,
it
just
may
ask-
be found a tad bit disrespectful,
Mhm.
I think he would be welcoming to it. I think he'd be willing to sit down with CTAS, and I think it'd be fine.
There's no real need for me to drive and talk to him, cause I'm talking to him on the phone just about every day.
Yeah.
I'll ask.
So how about we just get with CTAS, we'll see
Monday, I'm
what
gonna
day
make-
they can work?
Monday, I'm gonna make a motion on the floor that we let CTAS do a budget analysis, and the commission will have an opportunity to vote it up or down.
Okay,
Let's set another meeting, cause I've got
Yeah.
questions for
okay,
him.
and we have to do the sheriff's stuff, okay, so
Yeah,
how about
there's
the
still
28th?
a lot of business to conduct.
Tuesday, the 28th, gives enough time for it to be
And
advertised?
maybe they could be here then.
It's after a holiday?
Yeah, the 27th is Memorial.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 28th. Is that all right with everybody?
Yeah.
You wanna do it 5 there, or so we need to do?
Yeah.
Well, no, that's up to y'all.
Well, we want you there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We want as many of you as possible. Next budget meeting, Tuesday, 28th.
I do have a question. Since the TRRD board is supposed to be meeting on the 27th, which is a holiday, are they moving it to Tuesday?
I don't know, that's their baby. I don't have a clue.
So, can I get a motion for May 28th at 5 o'clock?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in, discussion on it. All in favor?
Is that on a Thursday night when they're having karaoke?
Nope, so
At the Full
Tuesday.
Moon?
I was gonna say, wait, are you wanting it held down there? Motion to move it.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to reconsider?
Is there anything else before we adjourn? Is there anything else that?
You guys,
brought up
no,
before?
I don't think so.
What time was that meeting again on the 28th?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Motion to adjourn?
Motion was Buckfield.
May 28th.
Second, Mary. Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
28th at
He
5
said a
o'clock.
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, 28th.
Keith Wilson, you missed his meeting last night.
If I'm late, it's because
He was coming to my
I
office.
left
He came in,
Oh,
some
was
of
that
the
that
cleanup
day?
women told him you wasn't there.
I waited till 6 o'clock. So,
He said your truck was outside.
well, I've been here the whole time. I mean, maybe, I don't know.
I told him, maybe
Well,
you
she
should
said
have
he
went to
wasn't
look
here.
for yourself.
I waited and waited and waited, and I go, well, if he's not here, tell him I'm at the house, I'll come back and meet him.